Morning. Good morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my brooms. Annette Baird, morning. Cyril Mayas, morning. Sir Rukmin Gangadin, morning. Annette Neptune, morning to you. Maureen Washington Smith, morning. Lynette Harris, Marge France, J Dimple 66, morning. Gerald Pascal Manzel, morning, sir. Arlene Lewis, morning to you, Arlene. Pauline Buckmeyer, Carol Boyce John, 123, morning, guys. Natalie F, morning to you. Annette Neptune says, I wish all in the PNM will truly examine themselves and be honest and not look only at position, but look at their capabilities and see if they can truly lead. Well said. Lisa Atwater, good morning. Morning, Lisa. Merle Durant, morning, Merle. Marlene Panton, morning to you. Leon Joseph, morning, sir. Gaylan Jackson, morning, Gaylan. All the way out there in Canada. Kenneth Gabriel, morning. Gillian Timmerman, morning to you. Phyllis Farrell, morning. Marlon Blaze, Pamela O'Connor. A good day to you as well. Who do we have on Facebook? Diane Charles, morning, Diane. Marva James, morning, Marva. Jennifer Ferron, morning. Rosemary Headley, morning, Rosemary. John Edwards, morning to you, sir. Dexter James, morning, Dexter. Phyllis Antoine, Joy Ragunanan, morning, Joy. Angela Kati. Who do we have here? Seychelle Lambert. Is it Shell? Alison Boyce, morning to you guys. Theophilus Lockheed, morning, sir. Marilyn Wanza Glowed, Christopher Siffy, Candice Joseph, morning to all of you. Nadia Lewis Dixon, Jennifer Dorset, morning. Should I have right, give me 1 second. Let's give this thing a quick charge. Charge. Right. So, once we have Veronica Jack, Carol Myers, morning, Carol, good show. Laverne Brown, Jennifer Frederick, morning, Jenny. Claire Irish, morning, Claire. Indira Joseph Gill, morning to you. Cecil Rollins, Annette McConney, morning, guys. Oria Gani, June Lawrence, Henry Amsterdam, Donna Walcott. Morning to all of you. Felix Hospitalis, morning, guys. Right, so it's 6:45. Apologies for the late start, but you know, when you have so many things to talk about and you can't decide what to talk about, and yeah. So I was going through a video on YouTube yesterday, the Power 102 Morning Breakfast Show, where they interviewed Mr. Warner. Anyway, we'll touch on that just now. So, Tobago's Carnival. Maybe I should touch on that first. Right, just briefly. So, from all accounts, it seems that this year's Carnival, the third installment, was the biggest. Just now. 1 sec, folks. Yes, so from all accounts so far, it appears that it was a successful carnival, and congratulations to the organizers, notwithstanding what appeared to have been in the earlys, you know, a bit of, some felt, Martin George felt that it was poor preparation, but things went well. We saw there was approximately some 30, well, based on Caribbean Airlines reporting of the number of persons who would have traveled to Tobago. Not all would have gone to Tobago for the carnival festivities, because people go to Tobago every day for vacation and other reasons. But we're looking at about between the ferry service and Caribbean Airlines, about 30,000 people went across to Tobago from Trinidad. 30,000 people who, some of whom are supposed to be suffering, eating grass and struggling, right? But anyway, but again, were it not for these 30,000 trainees going across to Tobago, one wonders how successful the carnival would have been. And we know Chinese have a seemingly insatiable appetite for fete and revelry, and so wherever there is carnival, you will find the Chinese. Earlier this month, you had Miami Carnival, and you had a lot of Chinese who went up. Again, struggling, suffering, can't afford to pay bills. They're working on 2013 salaries, but yet still, we could have gone to Miami Carnival, round trip, pay for the hotel, accommodation and the like, and food and whatnot and stuff. I have no problems with anybody going to Miami Carnival. You could afford it. Hey, do it. I mean, I go to Miami all the time. I go to New York and stuff. So, but you don't hear me complaining about suffering and the government oppressing me and all kind of nonsense. But anyway, the Councillor Tashia Grace Burris, who is the Secretary for Tourism, she shared on her Facebook page yesterday, "I just want to say that Tobago is capable of many great things when we choose to work together for the common good. I have no pictures to post because although I was working all weekend, even in costume, I had no time to stop and take in what we," and she puts "we" in capital letters, "accomplished together in 3 short years. Take a bow, Tobago, you have done exceedingly well. Take a bow, Tobago, you have done exceedingly well." Right? So you could have all the plans, the best plans, right? If it is that you and you could put the best of events together, but if you don't have patronage, your event is a failure. And so all of these persons who are reveling, "Oh, it was the carnival was so great and whatnot, and it was bigger than the last 2 years," wonderful. The Tobago economy needs that. Right? We saw that the hoteliers and the guest houses and so on were reporting almost full to 100% capacity. Some of them between 80 to 100% capacity, which is good. We know that normally only at a time of the year you would really find that type of thing taking place is normally for Easter, right? When Chinese look to go across there for Easter, right? But they continue the division without even recognizing the contribution that Trinidad would have made to the success of the Tobago Carnival. Not that we're trying to take the shine from them, no. You organize your carnival, great, wonderful. But to make it seem as if it was all the success because Tobago, as she says here, Tobago take a bow. But yet still, how many persons from outside of the country, outside of Trinidad, were you able to attract? In the first year, when you had your carnival, let's say, we don't need no ideas from Trinidad. We go in Grenada. How much of Grenada's influence did you see in the carnival, in Tobago's carnival of this year? What I saw, the pictures and the videos I saw, is reminiscent of Trinidad's carnival that we have every year. In fact, I saw the whole lineup of trucks from Trinidad, the big truck and stuff, the trailers going up last week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, thereabouts. Right? When you look at the mass, when you look at the performances, who the performers were, at the all-inclusive, at the Magdalena and so on, and the other events, Trinidadian performers. Right? So you basically created a carnival product that was predominantly Trinidad in terms of your production, in terms of your entertainment and the like, and in terms of participation, because I'm sure you had more trainees than Tobagonians participated, because remember, a significant portion of Tobago of the Tobago population are Seventh-day Adventists. They don't participate in that. Because remember, according to the very same Tashia Burris, talking the other day about who is unwashed, but they were happy to revel with the unwashed for the last couple of days. The same unwashed that you're about talking whole year. The unsaved and the unwashed. You had no problem taking the money of the unsaved and the unwashed. You had no problems winding up on unsaved and unwashed. Nah, we had no problem with that. But now that the carnival is over, we could go back and bad talk and ill speak the unsaved and the unwashed. Until when? Next year? Same time? Same place? Come, yeah, man. Come. We don't care that you're unwashed. Come through. Welcoming you with open arms. Come, bring your money. No Visine. You don't want to put no Visine in anybody's water. Because you want people to come back next year. Be here. Planning has already started for Carnival 2025. A lost opportunity in my mind, to my mind, right? Because the very thing that in Trinidad that they're trying to fix with respect to the carnival, based on my involvement for a number of years, is that there is the view that the mass has lost its appeal from the years when the mass told a story, and that story was reflected in the costumery, and we know all the bards of old and the mass men, the Stephen Leong and the Bailey brothers and all of these different people, and Geraldo Vera and all of these people, that when they had a band, Peter Minchell and stuff, the costumery told a story, and that has now fizzled. So you see on Carnival Monday and Tuesday, you see a costume and they tell you, well, hey, the theme for the band is so and so, and you struggling the whole time. Just, I'm trying to see it. I ain't really seeing it. Let me see why. Okay, maybe this section. But you're trying to see if the costumery really depicts what the theme says. And that has been the complaint. Revelers saying, well, it's the same old thing every year. Trinidad's carnival has lost its luster. It's like when you look at what's happening in Brazil, where for years we were criticizing Brazil's carnival, and it was just basically bikini and beads and half-naked women and three-quarter naked women. Brazil's carnival has been revived. I saw a friend of mine who went to Brazil's carnival this year and posted videos and pictures and so on Facebook, and my goodness, the creativity that you would have seen just from these floats and so on, and their samba drum, mind-blowing. And here it was an opportunity. So you have a new product in Tobago, but it's not really new. It's not novel. It's just Trinidad Carnival Part 2. Again, I'm not complaining, but we see more effort. And because they think that is the new product and that is the way to go, because we've gotten patronage for that, we are going to put more effort into that than, for instance, the Heritage Festival, which has been around for years and which, to me, has the capacity and the potential to be far more appealing than the carnival, right? But I suppose maybe you just can't get people to participate in the Heritage Festival as you can for the carnival, right? Because that's how people come to wine and jam and jump up and the like. But I just want to appeal to them, right? Yes, your carnival was a success. And the first year you told us, which wasn't all that great, you told us that you had 300 million in tourist spend. You spent $13 million on the carnival, and the return on investment was $300 million in tourist spend. So I wait to hear how much tourist spend you had for this carnival, which was bigger and better than the first two. You hear $1 billion in tourist spend? Now it can't be less than 300 million, because if you tell me 300 million in the first carnival and that one was left much to be desired, and this one is the biggest and the best you've had, I expect to hear bigger figures. Whether or not we will actually hear figures, we will see. But come now, man. Give credit where credit is due. Now, if you want to encourage the people who made it a success by virtue of their participation to come back next year, we know it has some people don't care. Because they just say, yeah, it's just a good time and whatever. But oh gosh, no, they're beating all their chest. Remember, it was a success because if nobody showed up, all the planning and everything that you all would have done would have come to naught. But again, how many people came from Grenada? Please highlight for us what was the Grenada influence. That you didn't want no participation. We ain't want nothing. We don't want participation from NCC. That was the first year. We ain't want no participation. Second year, NCC. Yeah, we don't need any advice from Trinidad because Tobago is more closely linked to Grenada and its history. And so we go into Grenada. How many Grenadians came? I didn't see any. Well, maybe it existed, but I didn't see much jab in this carnival. I didn't see no oil and all of that. The things that are synonymous with Grenada Carnival seem to be missing. But that's where they went. Yeah, Grenada has the solution. We don't want the Trinidad style carnival, you know. We want Tobago's carnival to be stand out and different from that of Trinidad. And where you end up? Where you end up? Last night on CNC3, they were interviewing some people who went across there and so on, and Tobagonians as well, just to get their opinion on how the carnival went. And there was a gentleman who made the point. He said, and they went Grenada the first time, and Trinidad is seen to be the mecca of carnival, and they could have just go right there. You went all the way to Grenada. You don't want to do it with Trinidad. We want no advice from Trinidad. Trinidad, this probably say you don't want Tobago to become like Trinidad. You still end up with Trinidad Carnival. A word to the wise is sufficient. I'll leave that there, right? Leave that there. Just to say, get the Chinese their props now. Yeah? Get them their props. Because the majority of people who participated and made it a success, the revelers, right, the mass players, came from Trinidad. All right? So if you want 60,000 Chinese to come next year, come now. Okay, don't know if you all have the capacity because hey, we run in hotel. We didn't want the Sandals Resort. We don't want the Marriott in Rockley Bay. And after 3 years, and what $20 million spent in travel and so on, the current THA has not been able to attract one single hotel brand to come to Tobago and build a new hotel. Right? Not one. So all interest shown by any hotel chains to come to Tobago within the last 3 years has come from the efforts of the same PNM, who they call in Red Devils. Where were the Red Devils? You see them on Facebook, the TPP, all of them, the Red Devils. Everything is the Red Devils this and the Red Devils that. It's the same Red Devils who trying to improve your room stock. Right? It's the same Red Devils who building the new Tobago terminal so that you all could accommodate about 3 million passengers for the year. Same Red Devils that looking to bring in more airlift in Tobago, expanding the airport so that you could accommodate more airlines, right? Bring it up to 21st century standards, a modern airport terminal, right? The same Red Devils who all you have nothing good to say about and whole time, but you didn't mind rubbing shoulders with the same Red Devils for the last couple of days, right? And now you all could go back to bad talking them. The same Red Devils. Just throwing that for them. You know, people like JB Harper and Tobago Rose and not Calypso Rose, that Tobago Rose, another disrespectful one who always posting up nonsense. Just sharing that to Tolena. Right? So just understand, even if you want 60,000, you may not be able to accommodate 60,000. You know why? Because the population of Tobago is about 65. So unless it is that you plan for the Tobagonians to open up their homes, right, and to rent out a room or a bed in the house, there's only so many people you could accommodate on the island because your room stock is about what? What's your room stock? How much you could accommodate? Hotel-wise and guest room-wise. We don't want no Marriott, and we don't want Sandals, and we don't want this, and we don't want that. Well, all right. Continue. People will come and tell them walk with a tent, and they will pitch a tent in Pigeon Point Beach, right? And Straw Bay, yeah. They'll sell tent space as Airbnb. Stupid. Anyway, I came across a video that I need to play. Mr. Chance raised the issue on Sunday when he told us about an experience he had when he went to the bank, if memory serves me correctly. And there was a conversation being had among some men in the bank there, and one made a comment with respect to the Revenue Authority and the state allegedly wanting all businesses, regardless of size, to register so that they could be taxed. And the gentleman was, most livid with the government, had nothing good to say. So I came across a video with Professor Misinformation, again highlighting his idiocy, again highlighting the fact that he's fully dunce, that he's a consummate dunce, doesn't know what he's talking about, is unresearched, right? But they come in every evening, Monday to Friday, talking about they come to educate and inform. You can't educate and inform others if you yourself not educated and informed. And they are very much uninformed. I wouldn't even say misinformed them. They're uninformed. They know nothing about anything. They can't tell the difference between the ARSE and the elbow. But they have a platform to come and educate and inform. Let me play this for you. Listen to Professor Misinformation. Maybe yes, I need to add him to the list of crave your indulgence moment. Yeah, because it's a task to listen to him.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. A good for you. A good for you. I want to say good for you. Take that in another Rukunko Tunko. Yeah. Yeah. I get it in Rukunko Tunko don't know about good for you. Because since when the man raised gas 3 times and say, or then raise that and laugh at you, and say, gonna raise it again and did raise it again 3 more times, or they never read, or they never stand up for themselves, or they never protest, or they block no road, or they burn no tire, or they stand up, or they just take it. So guess what? Guess what they say? What? They're taking it? What are we gonna do? High food prices, high cost of living, high crime rate, high everything, high murder rate, high everything that's going up. Eh? And they take it. Or they just take it. They're taking it. Then we give them, instead of giving them the just due with a back pay, we're giving them 4% public servants. And then they take the 4%. You understand? So guess what going to happen now? They start to say, okay, they're stripping, they're taking it. We're going to sharp them now. High electricity rates, right? They're taking it. Yes, they're taking it. So guess what? Property tax in the yes, they got property tax in their ass. You understand? And they're Russian line up all in the hot sun to pay it. So you say, what? Yeah, they love it. They love it so. They love it so. No protest, no nothing. So yeah, what? Revenue authority in their ass. Right? Revenue authority in right now. And I don't know what I mean. Let me explain what I mean. It means that every single person that is hustling to make an honest dollar right now have to go and register. And register as a small business. You still don't know what I mean? Well, let me break it down for you. It means that every doubles man, every hot dog man, every burger cat, every person who's selling in the market, everybody who's selling on the streets, everybody who's selling bottled water, anybody who's selling on the highway, anybody who's selling anything. Is a barber, a hairdresser, if it's just have a little store in a little mall, if it's sewing clothes for people, if whatever you're doing, you're selling in the savannah, you're selling cotton candy, you're selling coconut water, you're selling snow cone, you're selling ice cream, whatever you're selling, you have to register. Whatever service they provided, you have to register as a small business. Yes, it means to say that even if you take somebody's car and they say, go and pull a little ball and walk by a man, you understand? You must have to register that too. Right? Take that in their ass. Take it. You know why God tell her that? I tell her that when they continue just taking, they're going to sit down and come up with ways to share for them more. Even when they bring in the merit point system and they raise the price of tickets $1,000 and $2,000 for ticket, oh, they take it. Oh, they take it. Oh, just to break the law. Right? So now they're going to make it hard for people to make an honest dollar. It's hard to hustle. Anything that you're selling right now, you have to register as a small business. Every parlor, even if you're selling a little wings and fries in your gallery or in your garage or in your yard, you have to go and register that. Yes, gonna comment for you, they're coming for all you. The all them people on Charlotte Street, who's selling the little pimentos and the tomato and the provision on the side of the road. You had to register that. Doctor the cigarette woman and the chewing woman who selling the garments. You had to register that. All the food people who selling foods. Or they register that. All the people on the promenade who selling food in the night. All they register that. The people up in the savannah who selling food. All of them had to register as a business. And don't feel when they register as a business, I said, no, you register a small business, you go and open your bank account, you go and get what you call a BRI number and your VAT letter, because you have to pay VAT and taxes every year. You want to make sure you hold it upside down and shake it so all the little pennies and quarters could come out. This wicked, evil PNM government, and I'll vote for that. And I'll vote great is the PNM. Because when it announced, yes.
I can't listen to anymore. Well, forgive me. I cannot. There should be a law against that level of stupidity. I mean, this man takes consumer dunce to a whole new level. The amount of garbage that he just talked there. I mean, if you find us sounding upset, it's because I am. Right? He worse than Anil Roberts with the propaganda. In fact, he needs to go and register his business for selling BS, because that is what he just sold there. Where he get his nonsense from, and that is what they're peddling. And Mr. Chance referenced it, because you have persons who should know better, businessmen talking this BS and spreading that foolishness all over the place. And this clown actually has a forum on national radio to talk that, and misinforming and misleading people, right? Because he ought to know. If you go and do your research, you can just ask Iowa. Do your research. If you go and you register as a sole trader, right? There is no differentiation, no legal differentiation between the business and the business owner. Meaning that if you're a sole trader, you're still entitled to your $90,000 personal allowance. So once you're earning less than $90,000 for the year, you pay no taxes. I am certain the man who's selling the water on the street, they're making no $90,000, right? And when you talk about if you're selling wings and fries in your house, and the person who's selling pimento on the street and all of that, and you have to go and register and pay VAT. Really? Pay VAT? Do you know the requirements to pay VAT? You have to be earning a certain amount of money in revenue for the year to pay VAT. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you must be registered as a limited liability company, not as a sole trader. But he don't know that. But coming to talk nonsense. So you selling pimento on the street, right? You're selling clothes on the street. You're going to register as a limited liability company. Really? And everything. So listen. That level of stupid, just I don't know. It's out of this world. But kick out the PNM. And this is where this clown gets some of his information from, right? Because I saw it. They started this nonsense. And when you see the UNC not talking about that, you know what? And the hierarchy in the UNC, you know what they do? You would not hear them saying this because they know better. So they will allow minions like him to spread that propaganda, to fool people. But you will never hear Prasad Bisasa come on a platform and say what he's saying. You would not hear Dave Tanku come on a platform and say what he is saying there. Like, yeah, a little thing, but not to the extent that he take it to tell you all of these people who selling this and selling that. And if it is you're using somebody's car to pull bull or to make a little hustle, first of all, that is illegal. You could go and register business to conduct illegal business. Last I checked, in this country, the whole PH thing still has not been regularized. So how the hell you going and register business? Yes, I come to register so because I'm going to borrow a partner car to pull bull. That's a business. The insurance companies still don't recognize that. So how are you going to register? How are you going to insure a car for the purpose of pulling bull? But they don't think. That is what he does. Right? Last I checked, that was his profession. I think he works in taxi or whatever it is. And I think private hire. But this is the stupidness that he come in to tell people and do a whole video. And you're proud of that. And you're getting shares and likes and comments. Let's go and they're oppressing people and they're wicked. All of this oppression talk comes from where? A place of ignorance And this man just dunce. Oh gosh, take some time out now. You have up until 4 o'clock every day to sit down and do some research. When you're waiting for your car to full, you park up on the stand, however it is, and you're hustling. You have on your AC and you sit down inside it, take out your phone and use it for something proper, to do a little bit of research instead of just using it to do a live and talking nonsense. That is not the purpose. The minister would have clearly explained. You have the revenue authority coming into place, but you have persons who are businesses that are unregistered. And therefore, you will have officers of the revenue authority who will be going out to look at some of these businesses. They don't have no time with the man who's selling pimento, put up a little stall in front of the house, while you set up a table in front of your house and you have some pimentos, some tomatoes, you're selling some cabbage or something like that from your backyard garden. Maybe you have some dashing bush at the back of your house or whatever, and you decide, hey, let me try that thing. I put it on this table and people passing, and they don't have no time with you. That is not who they're going after. They're going after the people who have the businesses that we could look. So we pass and we see, hey, you have the neighborhood mini mart, but it's mini mart in name only, but it's a two-story entity, right? That's servicing the whole community. We want to see, are they registered? Because we know you're making money, right? The hardware in the neighborhood, the little that start off probably just selling little knickknacks, and then eventually they expand. Or the business in the neighborhood, the agro shop, that probably started out just selling chemicals, and then all of a sudden they expand and they're selling all manner of things. And you're seeing cars line up in front of the business every day or every weekend because people come in to buy this, that, the other, and the next. Are they registered? Because by law they're supposed to be paying taxes. These are the people that they're going after, right? Make sure the Chinese man who have the shop, who have the grocery, you registered, you're making money, plenty money too, but you have a little grocery in a corner, a little hole hiding somewhere. And you're making money off of that. These are the people that they're going after, right? The landlord, the man who have 10 and 20 apartments and all of them fully tenanted, and he charging $3,500 to $5,000 a month in rent. Right? So if he have 10 apartments and he charging $4,000 a month rent, $40,000 a month he making. And he probably have 3 or 4 different apartment buildings and making all of this money and collecting rent in cash. So the government don't know, right? Because nothing going through his bank account and he's not registered. But you have apartments, and really nice apartments all over the place, and every month he collecting rent. All of his apartments full. So if you have 3 sets of that, 30 apartments, and I know people like that, 30 apartments, and you're collecting $4,000, how much money he making for the month? Right? But they're not banking that money. We want the government to know. These are the people that they're going after who are supposed to be paying income tax because they benefit in the road in front of the apartment buildings. Who paying for that? Who paying for that? You ain't paying corporate tax, you're not paying income tax, but you're making all of this money. Any problems? The grass in front of the apartment building, when CPAP had to come, the garbage truck that pass in, collecting the garbage from your tenants. Who paying for that? But you making all of this money and contributing nothing to the state. Even except for when it is that you go and you buy your personal stuff and you pay VAT 12.5%, you spend $5,000 in groceries and you pay probably $300 in VAT. That is the only contribution that you're making from a tax perspective. But earning hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in rent and not paying anything to the state, but you're benefiting from what the state provides. From those people who don't have a choice to pay the tax, who working for small salaries, whose salaries for the month, what you making from 3 apartments alone. These people have to be working how many hours for the month to earn. And then at the end of the month, they get their pay slip, PAYE. They don't have a choice, it comes out. But you have a choice. These are the people that the government is going after. That is why when they talk about billions of dollars lost every year in revenue from taxes, from people who are supposed to be paying, right? But that money, driving nice car, Mercedes, BMW, Range Rover, but they're paying 1 cent in tax, benefiting from all of the subsidies that the state offers, right? So his apartment building benefiting from all of the subsidies for electricity and water. And every time he goes to the gas station to fill up one of his fancy cars, benefiting from the subsidies on the fuel, but him pay no tax. These are the people, not who this clown telling you that they want to go after because the doubles man. The government, how the government will know how much doubles you sell? Because you have some people who would sell a lot of doubles, and then you have some people who wouldn't sell much. I'm sure you drive around the country, you see some doubles vendors, they're there whole day. Some people will sell out in a matter of hours, and then you have others, they come out there from 6 o'clock, 1 o'clock, they're still there. Sit down by the one doubles box because they're in some remote area. So hardly anybody. They're on the side of the road and they're hoping that people passing and probably stop and buy. They taking back home doubles and taking back home pies and whatever because they didn't sell out. How is the government to know how much? You feel they're going to hire people to go and stand up next to every single doubles vendor in the country to check with Tobago. Let me see how much doubles here. 1, all right. 2, how much you buy there? 5, and take note. Okay. They have time, they have people to do that. That making any sense? So it is left to you to report what you earn. And we know these people will not report what they earn. They will say, no, man, I really sell no doubles. I didn't sell much. Today was a slow day. Every day is a slow day. So it is impractical that they will be able to tax everybody. But as the minister would have indicated, and he specified who it is they're going after. Certain businesses, established businesses. He said, if you have your little thing by your side, I'm bothering with you. The minister said so. But if it is, we see, you have a 2-story building, or even a 1-story building. You have your mini mart, you have your garage full with cars. People come and they bring the cars by you to get serviced. And we know you're charging whatever it is. If we see high-end vehicles come in there, hey, we need to check on you. You're paying your taxes, you're registered. One register now. But it benefits you to register as well because now under the procurement legislation, if you want to do business with the government, these are the things to go and register on the OPR registry. You need to be registered. You know what's the hypocrisy in it? When it is, the UNC was singing, Kamla and them talking about the legislation, the government watered down the legislation and they gutted the legislation and we need this and the government don't want to proclaim the legislation because they want the thief and corruption, all that chop it up. When the legislation was finally proclaimed and they complain and complain. When the government decided, you know what, for if it is that public entity, I think that's the term that they use in the legislation, has to do business, anything under $1 million, it doesn't have to pass through the office of the procurement regulator. They make a whole hullabaloo about that. But before the government did that, Kamla, about a week or two after the legislation was proclaimed, she went on the Monday night forum to complain. They bring the legislation, and you know what is unfortunate? You have the people like the doubles vendor and the corn soup lady and the lady who's selling little roti. And you know, if it is the corporation having a little meeting and they decide that they want to buy, they want to ask the lady down the road who making roti to provide some roti for the council for the meeting. This lady had to go and register on the registry. And if it is, you know, the council, you're buying your little newspapers every day because it's a public entity. Now the man who's selling the newspapers at the side of the road, he had to go and register with the registry in order for the corporation to be able to buy newspapers from him and all of that. She was complaining about that. But when it is the government says, okay, you know, certain things we will make it exempt. They had an issue, hypocrisy, spreading a dotishness. You were so bleeding hard for the very same people. You come, oh God, the person who making the little pilau and the bacon shark man and all of these people now they had to go and register. When before you could have just come and the corporation could have just go to them and put in a request and they provide. But you were boasting about this legislation that you brought in 2013. It's the same legislation the government bring. They just took out a few things. So it's the same people who would have been punished, but you're making it seem as if the government's so wicked, and these are the things. These are the little things. But anyway, we'll come back to that another time. But I just needed to expose Professor. I need to change his name from Professor Misinformation to Professor Fully Dunce. And I hope whoever listens here, who would have sent the clip to him last time, right? When I spoke about the cameras and the cost, please send this to him. Let him learn something. And hopefully he could decide to respond to me on his program. I don't listen. So if he does get this clip and he decides to respond, just let me know now. I'll take a peep. And I'll respond to him accordingly. Idiot. So Mr. Warner is making the rounds. You know, on Sunday night, CNC3, they had the big interview. That's the name of the program. With Mr. Warner. And he said some interesting things. Very interesting things. It's they asked him a question about his thoughts on the situation in the PNM with respect to a possible replacement for Dr. Rowley. And he said he would choose Penny Beckles. You know, he went on to talk about Penny and why it is he would support her and whatnot and the like, and a matchup between Penny Beckles and Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and all of these different things. But anyway, he was on Power 102 yesterday. Let me get this here. Put this on there. Listen to why I can't take these men seriously, right? Listen to Mr. Warner. Because the interview was 36 minutes long. And I listened to most of it. And anyway.
I'll be there. If you want me to contest a seat, I'm willing. If you say A, B, or C seat, I have no problem. And that's what I'm saying.
Do you have any preference for a seat? Because you contested Chaguanas
East.
West or East?
West.
You contested Lupino Bonnier. You ran as an independent and won the Chaguanas seat very convincingly. But you didn't win the Lupino Bonnier. Is there a preference for a seat you would have if given the opportunity?
I have no preference. I'm saying that is left to Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar and the party. I have no preference. All I have is a willingness to assist in political change. That's all. I have no preference. Doesn't matter to me who is at this point in time.
So, Mr. Warner, are there any, how I should put it, conditions attached to you going back to the UNC? In other words,
none whatsoever. None whatsoever. Listen, I don't need to put conditions to the UNC. I have begun right there that I'm willing to help. And if you're willing to help, you don't have to put conditions.
And you'll go back there regardless of who are the players involved in the UNC.
Let me hear it again.
You will go back there even though there are players involved in the UNC who you would have criticized publicly before.
Oh, sure. The past is the past. You forget I'm the man who invented yesterday and the next day. Forget that?
I can't forget that.
All right. then that mantra is still alive.
Mr. Warner, what is your opinion on the 5 persons who are now describing as dissidents? And what role do you think?
The past is the past. And he proudly says that he was the one who coined the phrase yesterday was yesterday and today is today. Right? 2015, 2014, 2013. From the time Mr. Warner would have left the People's Partnership in 2013 and he contested the Chaguanas West seat and he won under the ILP banner, June of 2013 to September 2015. Right? Mr. Warner went on a crusade against the UNC. Things that we didn't know about, we hear about. He pulled out all the documents, played recordings, a variety of different persons. Recordings with Gary Griffith, where that is how we heard about the 5-day weekends. They had recordings with the former chauffeur for Glenn Ramadar Singh, telling us about parties that they had and orgies and all of these different things. When the live sport program, Mr. Warner had documents that he came in the parliament and read out during the motion of censure against the Minister of Sports, right? And laying of the live sport report and all of that. Intimate details, things that other people didn't have access to, stuff that he would have gotten from Ruth Marchand. He was paying for Ruth Marchand at one point in time to in a safe house until eventually she would have left the country. And all of these things Mr. Warner told us about on the Sunshine Hour. All of the documentation he used to be providing to us so that we could come on radio every evening and talk about it and let the people know the stuff that the media wasn't covering or didn't want to share because they were getting $1,000 vouchers grocery vouchers for Christmas and who was getting HTC house and all of these things. So they weren't inclined to report because they didn't want to upset that. So what the media wasn't reported, we were discussing that on the Sunshine Hour morning and evening, interrogating these documents. When we hear reading about company called Dustbin Divers and all kind of thing. That is how we learned $50-something million, $53 million was spent on catering for live sport over a period of 18 months or the like. The amount of money we heard about Mikey K and the $92,000 a month that he was collecting to big up the program, right? All of these different things we heard, things that we weren't hearing on mainstream media. We heard about Rishmi, all these things. And now that you have clips coming out of Mr. Warner talking about all these things, in this very same interview, he said, well, I know where that's coming from, I'm not something, but I said, yesterday was yesterday and today is today. Yesterday was yesterday and today. So those things there. I would ask Mr. Warner, what has changed between 2015 to now, or 2013 to now? How has Kamala Persad-Bissessar changed? Who are the people that she would be looking to bring back? She has already started that process with Anil Roberts, who I keep saying should be in a lead box under 60 feet of concrete in the political cemetery, right? But she went and resurrected. You have talk in the public domain about Glenn Ramadan Singh and how he might be coming back to contest a seat and all of this. I've said before, when it comes to persons who Persad-Bissessar could choose to populate her cabinet and by extension to fill the roles of state boards, directors, and so on, is the murky lagoon. Nobody of substance, nobody of integrity wants to associate themselves with that party. So in the absence of getting persons of integrity who do not want to have their reputations tarnished by being associated with the UNC, she has no choice but to go back to the same pool of people that we had between 2010 to 2015. Same pool. So what do you expect? You expect any different? Some of them, the money that they thief between 2010 to 2015 run low. So they need to restock. What do you think they're going to do? I read for you all on Sunday transcripts of the WhatsApp messages and the text messages between Rudal Munilal and officials of the EMBD and others in respect of that matter for which he now finds himself the subject of a civil suit along with certain contractors. And you all heard the exchange, the contents of these messages, right? Where Mr. Munilal is giving instructions to prepare checks and bring the check for him so that he could deliver it to the contractors. What utter rubbish. Where have you heard that? That is unheard of. And the judge was satisfied, Justice Abood was satisfied in reading those messages, which I think would have influenced significantly his position with respect to that matter and wanting and coming and forming the conclusion that this is something that should go to trial. Where it is that you have, but these same people talking about recusal and Faris, how much time Faris recused himself and how many times Stuart John recused himself and Anil Roberts calling Faris, I'll recusal, and they recused themselves how much hundreds of, you know what, the recusals wasn't taking place. Clearly, recusals were not taking place when they were in office, when they were in the cabinet, because they didn't care. Because when you have a minister, based on these text messages and WhatsApp messages, could be engaging in that activity, you call the minister collecting check to take to the contractor? How? Why? And again, I ask the question, why is that not the subject of a criminal investigation? Because as far as I am concerned, that is misbehavior in public office. That is misbehavior in public office. No minister should be doing something like that. There is a system, there are procedures in place to facilitate those things. You put in a bid, you're successful, you do the work, your check is ready, the ministry will contact you, and you send one of your workers to collect a check at the ministry. Not that the minister collecting check and coming by you, hey, I had the check for you. What time to check it? It gives the impression, right? Or the suggestion. I delivering the check, but you know, kickback had to pay. So when the check comes, make sure you had the 10% or the 15% or the 20% in the bag, the brown bag, or the duffel bag, make sure you have it there, right? I just making sure, because unless the money in there, this check not passing. I can't take the chance that you come and collect the check from the ministry And then I'd be calling you. What's going on, boy? When I get nothing, boy? Yeah, don't worry. I have it up here. When I get nothing, boy, no, don't worry yourself, no, man. Tell you we'll get through. And they're going through that. No, I come in, make sure, hand over. You hold that and I hold this. That is the impression it gives. The police are supposed to be investigating that. But Mr. Warner says yesterday was yesterday and today is today. Mr. Warner, who told us that many of them prior to 2010 couldn't afford 2 doubles and a red solo. But after 2015, have houses all over the place, driving the best of cars. They pocket deep, bank account fat in the space of 5 years. But yesterday was yesterday and today is today. All right? He has no problem going back to work with the very same people who he exposed in 2015 and 2014, providing information that the rest of us didn't have. And he still has information. But let me play something else. Let me get this, right? Let's know. Where is it? Where is it?
He says they don't. And therefore, you have to rely on the experiences of others and of the past to know what the future holds. I'm not, of course, in any way am I phased by what the future holds. I think that this country is mature enough politically to act accordingly.
Now, the UNC won convincingly in 2010 with the amalgam called the People's Partnership, and lost subsequent to that in 2015 and 2020.
But I see this, you didn't say lost convincingly. You left that out.
I didn't say
they didn't lose. They didn't lose convincingly.
Right, but I didn't say that. I said they lost. Right? What in your opinion is the UNC offering and will be offering in 2025 that the population can hold on to that clearly didn't resonate in 2015 and 2020?
Listen to this.
Mrs. Posadi says, and the team to answer. I am not prepared, and I won't, offer an answer to that question because I'm not in the bosom of the UNC, I'm not in the heart of the UNC, and it will be, of course, premature of me to try to answer that question.
What do you think is the main issue facing the country now, Mr. Warner?
Main issue is crime, of course.
So the question they're asking, so what do you think, what does UNC has to offer 2025, offer the population, right? That did not resonate in 2015 and 2020. You hear a cop-out answer? Well, I would leave that for Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and her team to answer. I would not, I can't answer that, I would not presume. You have no clue what they're offering, but you are prepared to come and sell it to the population. And even before you have a clue as to what they're offering, you already promoted. Hey, come and buy Captain bag. Come. That is exactly what Mr. Warner is doing. That is what you call a cop-out answer, right? You're ready to support, but you don't have a clue what they're offering now. Yeah, I'm ready to get married. Yeah, so you know what this woman offering? No, but I'm ready to get married. I'm going to marry her, man. I can't answer that. So, Mr. Warner, tell us now, what was it about this young lady that would have, so captured your heart that you would? Well, I can't really answer that. I'll have to leave that to her parents and her friends and family and so on to answer that. I can't presume. I don't know anything about her, so I can't answer that. But you engaged her, you're gonna get married, but you don't know. So he can't answer the question, right? But he prepared to go back there, run for a seat. So whatever they offer, it didn't resonate in 2015, it doesn't resonate in 2020, and they're coming back with the same thing in 2025. But you haven't familiarized yourself. You're doing interviews all over the place. You must expect to be asked these questions. But I don't even care to get the answer. That's basically why I know. I don't care to get the answer. When you ask me that question, I'll simply say I'll leave it up to Mrs. Prasad Bisesa to answer that question, who and her team to answer that. I wouldn't presume. So what is your purpose? What's your purpose? Right? You contested Shogunas West, you win it under the ILP. 2015, you realize, hey, can't make. All who voted for me, they're going back home to the UNC. You run from Shogunas West and went across to Shogunas East. Tell yourself you stand a better chance there. Why? Because the ethnic demographic in Shogunas is a little more balanced. So you figure, well, you can make inroads there. Got your tail handed to you in 2015. Right? Handed to you in 2015 by, was it Stephen Keyes? I think it was. I stand to be corrected, but I think it was Stephen Keyes. Then 2020, you went to Lupino Bonnet West, your hometown. There you have lived for decades. Everybody know Jack Warner living up on Hillview Drive there, right? You would have done so much for that community. They rejected you. Why? But now you're prepared to come back and to sell the UNC to the population. But you have no idea what you're selling. But they hand you 10 bags. You don't know what's in the bag, but you're selling. Bargain. All you come, sale, come and buy. We have any bag there, buy? I don't know. But I just know the price. And you expect people to buy that, right? You have a whole stall. A set of bags there. Now you have no clue what is in the bag, but you're selling it. And people just pass and just hand you their money and take a bag. When they go home and they open the bag, yeah. So what the hell is this? People stupid so? They're stupid so you just buying and you don't know? You want to part with your money that you're suffering, you're oppressed, and you just, people are supposed to buy that. Right? Buy into that. Anthony Wilson, who writes for the, I think is the Guardian, is it? Or the Express? I think it's the Guardian. Wrote an article, and again, you see, this is my issue. And the issue that I had with this article, while it is substantive, it makes sense. It's about 5 years too late. At least 5 years too late. Let me get this here. Where is it? So, there was something else I wanted to touch on too. I might leave that for Tuesday. Yes, no, where is this thing? I'm going to play this one time.
And I want you to remember, this man is like a jack in a box who is trying to jump out of the box. And that box is that he must answer for racketeering, he must answer for wire fraud transfer, he must answer for money laundering, and those charges are not by us here. Those charges have come from every country around the world. One thing you have to say about Mr. Warner, he does not discriminate. He took money from every continent in the world, including right here in the Caribbean, from Haiti.
Yesterday was yesterday and today is today. Let bygones be bygones. He willing to forgive that. Right? He willing to forgive that. Yeah, going back. Me and Kamala good. In fact, in the interview, he said, as recent as Sunday, he and Kamala had a conversation, but he doesn't want to see what they talked about. Right? But yeah, what she said there. He don't discriminate. He take money from every single continent. He had no problem. He had a problem with it when she said it. But today, you don't have a problem with it because yesterday is yesterday and today is today. That all of that is forgiven. But you want to crucify Dr. Rowley. Why? No forgiveness. Not that Dr. Rowley needs your forgiveness for anything. Right? But, right. Where is this article? So where is it? Right. I just wanted to make one quick point again with respect to that issue with the EMBD and Dr. Munila. Right? It was reported in the article that I read on Sunday, the newspaper article, that subsequent to Justice Aboud's decision that this is a matter that should go to trial and that the defendants were required to submit their defenses and so on. This was on the 6th of August, 2020. The attorneys for the contractors asked the judge not to have the judgment published until after the election, which was August the 10th. And why was that? What was so damning in this judgment that you didn't want the population to know about prior to 2010, August the 10th, 2020, sorry. Why you didn't want the population to know the contents of that? because you felt the only people who could have been impacted by that would have been the political party, right? Because the contractors, they weren't running for any seat. They don't have no party. So why are the contractors asking the judge not to publish the judgment until after the election? As I said, they're not running for any seat. So clearly, they didn't want, not the attorneys of Munilale, the attorneys for the contractors asking that. Because they didn't want that information to come out, for these PNM to seize on it and bring it to the attention of the wider population, so that the population could take into consideration these things when going to the polls, to see how corrupt the UNC was. Why? Because the contractors had a vested interest in the UNC winning the election. Now, if you all are supposed to be independent contractors, it doesn't matter who is in office, we will provide our services. So we are not partial to the PNM, we're not partial to the UNC, we are partial to our businesses. But why didn't you want the information to come? Why did you want it withheld until after August the 10th? Because you had a vested interest. If the UNC won the election, then Munilal, as a minister, or the cabinet, the UNC cabinet, could simply come and withdraw the case. But you know that wasn't going to happen with the PNM, because it's the PNM bring the civil suit. So you needed the UNC to win, because it's a UNC minister. And contracts that were issued under the UNC, that is now the subject of the civil suit. So you needed the UNC to win, to withdraw the case. But they're talking about Malcolm Jones and Malcolm Jones and Malcolm Jones. But the same thing they was complaining about. That is why they didn't want the information to come out. But again, that should be criminal, because in the US, one of the 34 charges that Donald Trump was convicted of in New York, in respect to the Stormy Daniels case, was that he tried to buy her off, to pay her to keep quiet, so that information with respect to his infidelity and him paying a porn star, things that could damage his reputation and affect the outcome of his chances at the polls, in terms of how the public would view him. That was a charge, for trying to withhold information from the wider American citizenry in an attempt to influence how they vote. And here it is, we have the same thing. We have these attorneys asking the judge, no, here what now, hold off on publishing, because once the judgments come out, eventually it's published on the website of the judiciary. So you could go and read it in detail. And not just there, it is also available for the media to be able to publish excerpts from it if they care to. And it would also be available on the internet, as was this particular judgment. So outlining all of the details with respect to the WhatsApp messages and so on. And they didn't want that to come out. But look at the level of subterfuge that they were willing to go to hide this. And they tried to drag it out, because they were like, well, okay, the first route didn't work. We weren't able to have it thrown out. So we need to protect Munilal and we need to protect the UNC to improve their chances of winning, so that we could get off scot-free. So understand what is at stake next year, that if this matter is not decided, as I said on Sunday, if this matter is not decided before general election and they win, bet your bottom dollar, this case is going to be withdrawn. Right? This case is going to be withdrawn, and more than likely, the UNC government, if you withdraw the case, then it means you accept that there is liability with respect to the $200+ million that these contractors want, and they're going to pay it. Because if you withdraw the case, you're admitting that, okay, there was no there was no wrongdoing, and therefore the people deserve the money. So this $200+ million will be paid, and whoever was supposed to eat a food, drink a juice will get it. These are the things that are at stake. So it's not just like it's about, okay, well, so when you have people coming on here supporting the UNC and want to talk rubbish about the PNM, this slave master and the oppressors. But they turn a blind eye to these things, but had it been the other way. I'm going to read this article. I wanted to read Martin daily, but I will leave Martin for Thursday when I have a little more time. This article is dated 5 days ago, 24th of October, entitled, "Where is the money coming from, Kamla?" A good question. Perhaps Paul Richards and them should have asked Mr. Warner that yesterday, right? On October 4th, with under 2 minutes left in her 3 hour and 41-minute response to the 2025 budget speech, opposition leader and political leader of the UNC, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, told Parliament, "Madam Speaker, say where we would get the money for all these plans and policies we have in place. The UNC has put out a very comprehensive economic transformation plan, which I will not punish the members here to listen today, and definitely it would have been a punishment. But I would invite you to go up on the UNC's website. I have shared it before in this Parliament to look at our economic transformation plan to see where we would source the funding to carry out these plans." So in other words, the National Economic Transformation Plan, which was their 2020 manifesto, it means that that is the same plan that they're going to offer the public in 2025. And I would have shared with you all some of the contents of that with respect to privatization of the public sector, with respect to the valuation of the TT dollar, with respect to the continuation of their words, what they started on the Chaguaramas Peninsula between 2010 to 2015, where they were giving away lands, right? Prime real estate in Chaguaramas to the same 1% that they seem to have a problem with today. But between 2010 to 2015, they had no problem with the 1%. Getting land. Who they give land to? 5 Islands. Who they give it to? Who they give it to? Did they give it to Alan Warner? Huh? Last time I checked, Mr. John Aboud was 1%. Huh? The land that they gave to, who they gave the 100 acres to plant onions. And today there's a restaurant called UPIC. Very popular restaurant called UPIC. And what was supposed to be sitting on land that was supposed to be under onion cultivation. Joe Paris is what? East Indian? Chinese? Huh? I just asking that question. The individual that they gave the land to further down the road to put up a petting zoo, I think the petting zoo has since closed. Of what race was he? What ethnic background was he? I just asking those questions. Sharkville Beach that you had access to before, that you no longer have access to. I just asking. Ask a silly question according to Peter Minshall. But I continue. Further, what we would want to do and have to do is to wipe out, scrape off, remove the waste, the corruption, and mismanagement, thereby keep taxpayers' dollars for delivery of goods and services to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me repeat that. Further, what we would want to do and have to do is to wipe out, scrape off, remove the waste, the corruption and mismanagement, thereby keep taxpayers' dollars for delivery of goods and services to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Really? So the EMBD matter, the 200 million that these contractors claim they owed, that wasn't corruption. That is putting taxpayers' dollars for the delivery of goods and services. So today, whether the Minister of Finance speaks of 5, 10, or 24 hours, it will change nothing, it will fix nothing, it will deliver nothing. However, the average citizen of this country knows the UNC cares and I care. The government will soon hear the voices of the 99% on election day. I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. UNC's plan. This is Anthony Williams. So he quoted that there. Now he's going to examine, interrogate what she said. I accepted Mrs. Persad-Bissessar's invitation and visited the website of the UNC, where I found a document titled the National Economic Transformation Master Plan 2020 to 2025. Now, for those of us who know Mr. Wilson and who read his articles and so on, he's always been very in-depth, in particular, with respect to his interrogation of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, right? And I said, when I started this, I said that this article is at least 5 years old, 5 years too late, because Mr. Wilson should have interrogated this. This was their 2020 manifesto, right? And you're not in 2024, you're coming to ask where you're getting the money from. But in 2020, 2019, 2020, when this came out, you should have asked the question then. It was just as relevant then as it is today. This has been out there since then. How is it that Mr. Wilson only now sees it fit? Kamla Persad-Bissessar has been extending an invitation for the last how many months and years to persons to go and read the economic transformation plan that has been on the internet. Why is it only now, Mr. Wilson, that you only now decide to interrogate it? You don't think that this interrogation and this analysis that you're doing would have been handy in 2020? Not that the PNM needed it, but you're 5 years late. He goes on. The cover of the document outlined that Persad-Bissessar delivered it as part of a response to the 2020 budget on October 11th, 2019. See how far back? So it seems that the UNC political leader opted not to add 10 minutes to her response to the 2025 budget by providing the nation with some details of how she plans to raise money to fund her ambitious spending program. So even when in 2020, Mariano Brown, Indira Sajiwan Ali and others described this National Economic Transformation Plan of the UNC as pie in the sky, that still didn't motivate Mr. Wilson to do an assessment and analysis of it, right? Okay, well, better late than never. She preferred to refer listeners, viewers, and readers of her presentation to a 5-year-old document that she delivered in response to the 2020 budget. You know why she did that? Because she knows it's garbage. And she knows that most people would not take up the invitation to go and inspect it. In October 2024, the extent of the details of Mrs. Persad-Bissessar's fiscal policy ideas was that if the voters elected her party to lead the country at the next general elections, she would wipe out, scrape off, remove the waste, the corruption, and mismanagement, which would keep taxpayers' dollars for delivery of goods and services to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The National Economic Transformation Plan 2020 to 2025 contains some interesting proposals, which one assumes, given the fact that Mrs. Persad-Bissessar pointed to the document in her budget response, remains the policy positions of the opposition UNC. Key point to note, right? They're so damn lazy. They're telling you that the economy is so bad and the PNM mashed up the economy in the last 5 years and the economy on the brink. Well, one would think if that is the case, and you want to say that they worsen it in the last 5 years, you would need to make some adjustments. But you're coming to tell us the same proposals that you put forward in 2020 would suffice to rescue the economy in 2025, even though, according to them, the economy between 2020 to 2025 was worse than 2015 to 2020. But you're using the same prescription. That making any sense to you all? So you're not feeling well, you go by the doctor. The doctor gave you a prescription. You get worse, but he give you the same prescription. If that prescription didn't work the first time, and your situation has only worsened, you expect him, and he come and give you the same prescription, you expect to get better? If your situation worsened, using the same medication, but that is what they're doing. They are the ones who told us the economy so horrible, you know, and that it got worse in the last 4 years. But I continue. The October 2019 document states that UNC would scrap the proposed T&T Revenue Authority, scrap the property tax, reduce personal income tax. So it's 25% now, right? But they're going to reduce it. Review income tax regime to alleviate the overall tax burden on more vulnerable and lower income citizens. Reduce corporation tax. Everything is reduced, eh? Do away with taxes. Businesses will pay between 18 and 20% corporation tax. So I wasn't lying when I told you all that. The corporate tax burden will be even lower through tax exemptions for those firms that invest in government strategic projects. So we're reducing the corporation tax or the corporate tax between from 35% and 25 to 35% that it is now, down to 18 to 20%. But on top of that, we're giving you certain tax concessions as well to even reduce it. So you could end up paying less than 18%. But Rowley want to make the rich richer. Who own businesses? Who pays corporate taxes? The average citizen? The public servant who still working on 2013 salaries? They pay corporate tax? Who pays corporate tax in this country? Not the wealthiest of the wealthy? The people who own the big businesses? So when it is that you cut the tax rate from 35%, which is what the banks and paying now, right? And if it is that you earn over $1 million in profits per year, you would pay 30% and so on, and another million, you pay the 25%. Persad-Bissessar says she cut in all of that. So what is going to happen? The money that these business owners who we complaining about, who they're digging up people eye, where they're charging for food and they're charging for this and that. And they're wicked. They're too wicked, all the grocery store owners and all of them who making supernormal profits. But we don't know the exact figures because these are private businesses, so they're not required to publish the kind of money that they make it. But Prasad says, you know, we're going to cut the tax rate. So at first, we cut in the tax rate and then we're giving them certain concessions, certain deductions that they could take to even reduce the amount of profits on which they would have to pay taxes. So at the end of the day, they could end up paying 12% tax or 15% tax. Significant reduction from what it is that they pay now. Right? What's going to happen? So the money that they save in taxes, what does that do? It makes them poorer. And yeah, it makes them poorer. So the supporters of the UNC who are listening, but Rowley want to make the rich richer. It's not Rowley is the one saying that he wants to cut the tax rate. Not Rowley saying that. Right? He ain't saying that. Who's saying that? Prasad Bisesa. Cut the tax. Same thing Donald Trump said. There's a clip running and an ad that Kamala Harris is running, showing where he was addressing some millionaires and billionaires and telling them, you know, we're going to cut tax and we're going to make you guys rich and so on. Same thing Donald Trump said between 2016 to 20. Cut the tax rate for the wealthy, and the tax money that they save, and they will take that and invest it in their business and expand their businesses and hire more people. And do what? Create opportunities for the poor. That's what Trump said. And this is the same thing Prasad Bisesa is saying. When we cut the tax rate for the business people, the money they're saving in taxes, they will expand their businesses and hire more poor people. But when Keith Rowley says, nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, but the poor must come out of poverty. And when the rich get richer, they create opportunity for the poor. They want him to rake him over the coals. But Prasad Bisesa says it in a different way, and we applaud her. Yes, she's not trying to make the rich richer, right? Same thing with Stuart Young. Stuart Young was a little more explicit in his language, and they want to kill Stuarty. I see they requested now that the NCIC turned down the invitation for him to come and speak at the Diwali Nagaro or something so, right? But they want to kill Stuarty. But Prasad Bisesa come and talk about ain't no party like a Diddy party and accusing senior PNM members of being involved in pedophilia, accusing senior PNM officials of raping little children, engaging in sexual activities with little children. She said that in the parliament. And these hypocrites, that's what you all are, had nothing to say about that. Because she didn't use upsetting language. She didn't use, to use the speakers, despicable language. Right? She didn't use reprehensible language. She said it in a nice way, and that's all right. But Stuarty says something, and you're attacking women, and you're accusing the opposition leader of being a lesbian and all of that. But she is allowed to accuse senior members of the PNM of doing something even worse. Okay, you can't tell me. She accused of being a lesbian, okay. But when you're accusing people of sexually assaulting children, even worse, and she has no reprimand for her, something wrong with Tolia. Something very, but as Bazio Pandey says, politics has a morality of its own. Simplify the VAT regime. Remove VAT on over 7,000 items. Exemptions will be limited to necessities such as food, education, and health. And the VAT zero rating will be limited to direct exporters who export goods. A net VAT refund system will be established to eliminate arrears of VAT payments to businesses and provide timely refunds to a reform process and strengthen system. So, I'm going to get this here. Increase duty rates on non-essential imports to compensate for the removal of the tax on income below 1 million. Import duties will be raised. Certain basic food, medicines, and essential items will be exempt from import duties to ensure affordability to the poor and most vulnerable. Import duties will be raised. You know what that means? The same thing that people like Professor Misinformation, Professor Fully Dunce, coming to tell you, well, you know why it is food price so high? It's because of the duties that the government charging on the port and all of that people have to pay, that driving up the prices. But in the UNC's National Economic Transformation Plan, it is here. They are going to, import duties will be raised. So what do you think going to happen? You're already paying high prices because the food being imported. One of the concerns of Americans now who go into the polls next week is the high cost of food in the US. So when we import it from the US, we're paying a lower price than what the Americans paying. And then it comes here and you increase import duties. Donald Trump talking about tariffs. Tariffs. We will impose significant tariffs on food, on stuff coming into the US from other nations. And that is supposed to encourage these other nations to come and set up shop in the United States and produce in the US and hire people and all of that. Same thing the UNC talking about here. In terms of raising revenue, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa also proposed in her October 2019 presentation in the House of Representatives to scrap the common practice of treating interest on bonds of CARICOM countries as tax exempt to ensure government receives its due share of taxes. She said over 8 billion in taxes have been lost from this tax loophole. She also took note of the common practice of laundering taxable profits via offshore institutions. She said this practice would be investigated and legislation introduced to bring closure to such practices. Really? Really? Okay. It's going to be hard to convince your financiers to do something like that, right? She says we can raise between 4.5 billion to 7.5 billion in domestic revenues per year by improving the efficiency of the tax system and through these institutional reforms. No revenue authority needed, she said, according to the prepared text of the speech. With these initiatives, by 2025, we expect to attain a balanced budget and stabilize public debt at 60% of GDP. Questions. 1. Would the UNC plan plunge TNT into deeper deficits, which would drive debt higher? This is Anthony Williams Wilson asking this. 2. Has the UNC quantified the cost in 2025 dollars of not implementing the revenue authority, scrapping the property tax, removing 7,000 items from the VAT list, reducing personal income tax, lowering corporate taxes from 30% for all businesses earning over TT 1 million to between 18 and 20%? 3. If when the cost of the tax proposals is quantified, it is found that the maths is not matching, meaning that what is given away in tax cuts cannot be retrieved elsewhere in the economy, what would a UNC government do? 4. If elected, does the UNC intend to introduce all of these fiscal measures in the first budget? 5. Does the UNC still expect that it can derive substantial revenue by removing the tax-exempt status of CARICOM bonds and attempting to eliminate transfer pricing? Cost of living. It is clear that if elected, the UNC will make the cost of living in TNT a major issue. In her October 24, 2024 budget response, she chastised the current administration, saying year after year they come with taxes, fuel price hikes, traffic ticket fines, electricity and water rate increases, which never happened, while removing grants for single mothers, baby milk grants, laptops for our children, gate for university students, and so on. House and land prices are out of the reach for the average person. Rents will increase because of property taxes and increase in utilities. At a Monday night meeting in Shogunas on August 26, Prasad Bisesa outlined the increases in the prices of fuel and a list of 11 basic food items. But fuel and the basket of basic items increased drastically in the 9 years the current PNM has been in government, she argued. He goes on to say, apart from the fact that she has not made any firm proposal to address fuel and food prices, it must be obvious to Mrs. Prasad Bisesa that all of TNT's fuels and all of the 11 items in her food basket are imported except for the local milk that Nestle produces. More questions. How does the UNC, if elected to office, intend to stabilize the price of imported food items? Does the party naively expect that if it lowers corporate taxes that the local business sector would lower its profit margins? Would eliminating VAT on 7,000 food items compensate for the proposed increase in import duties on non-essential items? So you're saving on food, right? But everything else that is non-essential, import duties in all your ways, right? So you're paying a higher price. So when they go and buy them books and all them things for your kids, so anyway, we continue. Is it the height of fiscal irresponsibility for an opposition party to be promising tax reductions at a time of uncertain natural gas revenue, 8 years of fiscal deficits out of the last 9 fiscal periods, and a slow growth economy in which the demand for foreign exchange outstrips the supply of it, and which rations foreign exchange? Mr. Wilson, you should have been asking all these questions since 2020, sir. As I said, you're 5 years late, but better late than never. But he has written this. He has asked these questions, these very legitimate questions that should be asked not just by himself, but all the others, right? All the other people like who the media love to run to, Professor Roger Hossain and Shane Mohammed, Valmiki Arjun, Mariano Brown, Karen Nunes Teixeira, all of them who always have a comment to make. The media loves to run to them. How come they're not talking about this? But it's only PNM. They're more focused on who is going to replace Dr. Rowley than they are focused on what Mr. Wilson just spoke about and what he has put on the table for the public to consider. Cat and bag that Mr. Warner trying to sell all here. Right? Cat and bag, that is what it is. But these men and women have letters not discussing this. That's not important. That's not important. What is important? Rowley must go. What's important? Stuart Young used the word Zami. Yeah. For them, that is what is important. Stuart Young used the word Zami and he disrespectful. That's important. But these questions that Anthony Wilson just asked here, that's not important. You know what? After they win, we go ask that. Right. A word to the wise is sufficient. What's the time then? I'm going to take a call. It's already after 8. Yes.
Hello?
Hello? Yes, sir. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for taking my call. Just a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
One, have you noticed, we want to put something into context here. Have you noticed in the last year or so, including at the recent UNC's internal election campaign, have you noticed that one Rudal Munilal has been raising issue all the time, like a broken record, about this firm that the Attorney General's office hired in England to investigate certain areas of corruption under the UNC?
Yes.
Have you noticed that? He talks about that all the time, and how much millions they're paying them, and this and that, and political persecution, and this and that and the other. The final apostrophe has just come from the Privy Council, arising from these intensive investigations. The Privy Council has written the final chapter in this whole nasty saga of UNC corruption when they were in office between 2010 and 2015. All man, tooth moon, have to go to trial and have to provide a defense, each one, including Munilal himself. So we now understand, context-wise, why he has been going after this English firm for so long. Because he knows the substance of their investigations and what they were.
Hello? Hello?
So this Munilal is still talking, coming in the papers, still talking. A few days ago, political persecution, and they using government departments to attack us and to attack me, and corruption this and corruption. So first of all, Munilal, as I told you the other day, Mr. Ron, I'm not calling any Dr. Munilal. It's Munilal or Rhoda Munilal. So for easy reference, it's Munilal for me.
Yes.
Now, so, political persecution, which for you would also border on rape. Also border on rape. So Justice Abood, James Abood, when he was High Court judge, he was influenced by the PNM. He's anti-Indian, just like Dr. Rowley. They're going after UNC because they are Indian. So Justice James Abood, as his end was, he is PNM, and he is anti-Indian. And the appeal court, which upheld Justice Abood's High Court decision, they are PNM too. It's political persecution from the judges in the appeal court. They are PNM. Let me remind you of something, Let me remind you of something, Monilal. 2 of the 3 judges who presided over you and your contractors' issue, 2 of the 3 judges were Indian. They look just like you. They look just like you. So these 2 Indian judges, they take orders from Dr. Rowley. These 2 Indian judges, in a unanimous decision, they are PNM. They are PNM. But you see, as I told you Sunday, Mr. Roman, what these cats don't understand is that not everybody's reachable. Not everybody's viable. And not because somebody is of the same race as you, that you should feel that by a process of elimination, that they should automatically rule in your favor. So by Monilal's logic, the 2 Indo-Trinidad appeal court judges are PNM. And they're taking orders from the Black Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley. And the white judges in England, they are PNM too. The white judges, they are against Indians. But you all love them. Don't you all love them? Don't you all prefer them to the CCJ? And you all know why. You feel because they are white, that you'll get a better chance of justice. Well, deal with that. They upheld the decision of Justice Aboud and the appeal court in Trinidad, and they agreed wholeheartedly. So there you go, Mr. Monilal. Talk about it again. Now we understand why you were so obsessed about talking about this British firm that was conducting intensive investigations into EMBD and other matters pertaining to you and UNC corruption. And finally, Mr. Roman, you see the situation from Kopio and the Nagal? If I were in Mr. Young's position, I would be very careful about going there. Because those racists in there, most of whom are UNC, they are capable of engineering a boycott and a walkout on that man once he sets foot on that compound. I strongly believe that could very well happen and create immense embarrassment for the man. And I think that is what is going to happen. I think, therefore, that good sense will prevail. And if I were in Stuart Young's shoes, I told a friend of mine last night, I would not accept the invitation because they will come out for him up there. He should not go there. Let them call him racist. Let them call him racist and coward. But he's going to be saving himself, his family, his reputation, his government of immense embarrassment by not going there. Leave the racists to themselves. Let them hire Ralph Maraj or Hindu to give the closing remarks. Choose him and let Kamala bask in the nastiness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think if Mr. Young was invited in the capacity as acting Prime Minister, because we weren't told when the Prime Minister would be back, and therefore perhaps that would have informed the decision to invite Minister Young. Now that Dr. Rowley is back, I think he should go instead. Not that, not that he is likely to receive a more favorable reception, but it will be a little more difficult for them to give a reason as to why they oppose to Dr. Rowley, right? Because they can't say Dr. Rowley, say whoever, but it would be, a little bit embarrassing for them. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Roman. Good morning to the listeners, callers, and viewers of facts versus stubborn things. Hello?
Yes, sir, we're hearing you.
Right. Now, I ain't staying long. Because right now I ain't talking for lunch, but I ain't staying long. Right? Now, I just want to touch on Jack Warner. Right? This same Jack Warner in 2015 who would have formed an ILP party under his tenure, right? Because he found that there was a Hindu cabal in the partnership back in 2010 to 2015, right? He decided, right, that they had to get rid of Chakwana because why? You have answers, you have questions to answer in the US related to FIFA. But the old superior bat forgot to tell the public who money that Chakwana used to fund your Botox makeover in 2010 to announce you as the prime minister then. And they're coming now to say what? He's a jack in the box. Will they come out? And Chakwana today, almost 10 years later, you come into the public to tell the public yesterday was yesterday, the past was the past. So let bygones be bygones and let me join hands together for a common cause. The same set of people that you, Austin Chakwana, right, would have levied and say who corrupted, who was lesbian, who this, who that, who the other. Coming to rub shoulders now. But Dominic, these people just really think Trinidadians and Tobagoans are damn fools or something. Because clearly, all these things you said, it's out in the public up to this day. You understand? But you come in, sit down in an interview Sunday night, right? And before the reporter asks the pertinent questions, what about your extradition matter? What about these statements you have made against the then Prime Minister, Kamala Harris, who is not the opposition leader, who is vying to be Prime Minister in this country, which would never happen? What was your response to these statements to the Prime? Or didn't ask none of those questions. But when you want to come and paint Chakwana, I think he's a martyr. He's innocent. He's a glowing. He's a lifesaver of the people in this country. You understand? The Qatar again in Chabonas West, and the Qatar again in Lupino Bonnet West. Anywhere you go, and I'm making it abundantly clear this morning. Anywhere Chakwana go on the East-West corridor, it's going to be problems to you because I, as well as Julia Davy and others, will make sure that you get the soundest cutters on the East-West corridor. Go down Central with that guar and that bullshit. Don't come on the East-West corridor with that. You only feel that African people in this country are foot in mouth and hand to mouth. Now, I ain't saying all. Some of them just want to have on the UNC curtail. Because you know why? They want to cuss Dr. Rowley. They want to cuss everybody. Right? But what Chakwana did to the old superior mat, right? What he did and tell and said to this country, what she does with state fund money for her lesbianism and preference, right? Minister Young just stood up in a hot mic incident of this month. Everybody want to crucify Minister Young. Everybody have all to say, and he must apologize, and he must resign, and he must this, and he must that, and he must the other. Where was the voices when Chakwana said about Kamala? It's always good that somebody else could say about she, but not the PNM. Nobody PNM wasn't saying nothing about the UNC, but they must have all to say who is pedophile, who do this, who do that. This dirty mouth one called Naked, trying to label the late Ken Valley as some pedophile with the Aki Chambers here now. I wish that family could get that man and serve him some pre-action letter. You understand? You want to say that, right? The man that here to defend, the man that here to defend himself. You stood up and I video recorded and say that Ken Valley, the late Ken Valley, have part to play in Aki Chambers' murder. But all have no blasted shame, all of you. And then they cannot caliber people that UNC want to put in the public space for you to elect them to run the affairs in this country for the next 5 years. Eh? Or they come to tell me, Jean Child and other right-thinking citizens in this country, don't vote, just vote. Don't vote, just vote. Vote for the people in the area that all they feel that will govern the area, right? Don't vote, just vote for them, vote. But I'm telling Jack Wanathan this morning, keep that Gubar down south and central and the Kali River. You understand? Don't come and Jesus with that bullshit because the quotas they will get, they will regret coming to the UNC. Dominic, good program, listen.
Thank you, sir. Sheldon Pompey says, my brother, I want them to win, to be honest. Let us get our final lesson of where barley grows. I feel you. Some people need to burn to learn. Sheldon. You know, they say, who don't hear us feel. But they will, the sad thing about it is that the supporters will make excuses for their failures. And all we be here with the PNM, and the PNM this, and the PNM did that, and the PNM. Brian.
Good morning to you, Dominic.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to your listeners and callers. Dominic, that's what Anthony Wilson wrote was last week, Thursday in the Business Guardian, not so?
I believe so.
Well, the Business Guardian, that was the 24th of October, which was a Thursday. I normally listen to, as I said, I get up early in the morning, I listen to the television stations because on a Wednesday, TV6 has their business discussions with Joel, remember his last name. And then on a Thursdays with Anthony Wilson and Jason Williams. I did not hear Jason Williams raise any of those issues on Thursday, the 24th. He didn't raise it at all. He normally goes through certain topics that he would like to raise, but I felt that this would have been very, very important to be raised with Anthony Wilson at this particular time.
Yes.
You see, because at the end of the day, and Mr. Charles always alludes to it, when you reduce all of these taxes, right? And I know she is not going to do that, but how are you going to raise revenue to do all these things that you say that you are going to do? And nobody is asking her, but at least she's giving them an opportunity to ask that question because she's not being interviewed anyway. But she's not going to be able to raise the type of revenue that we are talking about. Even the revenue of $54 billion is simply not enough to do all the things that this government needs to do in the next fiscal year.
Correct.
We know that. And they will have to borrow or perhaps sell certain things that they have.
State assets, yes.
In order to raise revenue. We know that. And any person who is seriously and being honest with themselves will understand that. And that is without thinking about what may crop up outside of what is projected. Because, you normally have certain issues that, you never may have a hurricane.
Yeah.
You may have, all these sorts of things. Heaven forbid. But at the end of the day, is she going to reduce those billions and billions of dollars in taxation? Where is she going to get the revenue from to do the things that she says that she wants to do? It is all a lie. And she's lying to the people. That's why I said yesterday on Sharon Felix show, they're not going to be able to start that refinery. You understand? Because once we are assigned to the Paris Accord, you can't be flaring gas. You understand? I can't see Dr. Rowley saying, well, okay, go ahead and let us start up the refinery to please people and be flaring gas. So that refinery has to be modernized. And similarly, if it is you say you're going to be reducing all of these taxes, where you get any money from? You're going to take it from the Unit Trust Corporation. You're going to take it from the National Insurance Board. And let's assume she does that. How much money you think she's going to be getting in order to do the things that she says she wants to that we will end up, before they demit office, you will make sure this time that we end up in the hands of the IMF. And the public sector are the ones that are going to suffer, the public servants. They are the ones that are going to suffer. And all of the youth programs that are now going on will now be a thing of the past. And we will revert to 2010. That is where we're going. We will not be progressing. And then again, people will realize, oh God, look, we're seeing more trouble again. They'll come back and vote, clear them back again, and we have to start all over again. And certain people will be enriched beyond their wildest dreams because they know how the Gucci running now. Because by the time that gas begins to come in 2027, 2028, what do you think is going to happen in Trinidad and Tobago? The new neophytes coming in have already seen that, hey, I can enrich myself and there are no consequences. So what do you think is going to happen? If the old ones who want to come back in, enrich themselves because they know how it runs, and the new ones said, hey, only what you're going on there, we have to enrich yourself too. So you have a certain sort of people in this society enriching themselves and their family and their financials and friends. No court matters starting and finishing. You understand? And at the end of the day, who's going to feel the pinch? Who's going to feel it? It's we, the poor people, and the honest, right standing citizens are going to feel it. Because at the end of the day, one of the most painful things I know is going to come is the devaluation of the dollar. And when that comes, that is the be all and end all of the lower and middle income people of the society. That will be the end of it. Because they won't be able to purchase the things you really want to purchase. Things have gone up by about 23% average on food prices. Yes, inflation is low, but food inflation is high. And if it is not dealt with in a particular manner, we allow these people to get back inside there, you won't be able to go to the grocery. And we have to eat. So then what do? We have to be very mindful of what these people think and what they say. And we must be honest with ourselves that we cannot allow them to get back into office. It is the same Trump mantra. Every time I look at what's going on right now in America, it aligns perfectly with what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago. But who is trying to do best for the people of the country, the lower and middle income, and who is trying to help the rich and themselves? It is the same policy and program, and it is the same thing with respect to trying to stay out of the courts. Donald Trump knows if he loses, what's going to happen to him. The plethora of matters he has before the court. Similarly, the same thing is happening in Trinidad. That people who are trying to get back into office, I 81-year-old man. I listened to Fiscal yesterday, agreeing with Kamala Prasad-Bissessar that a cashless society is no good for Trinidad and Tobago. He said so yesterday morning on the television. And he is not agreeing with Kamala Prasad-Bissessar on certain issues. These people just lick up the vomit and just turn tail and come back to where they were before. It's crazy. And finally, I am saying this, and I have to agree with Mr. Yates. I think Stuart Young should not go at all to the Diwali Nagar. I'll tell you why. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar spoke at the Diwali Nagar, I think it was yesterday, was it? Did you see any protests? Remember what happened last year when she was there? There were placards of people saying, don't come here, we don't want you here and all this. Did you see any this year? What does that tell you? Huh? You think they don't know that Stuart Young coming? And they see they want something to be in the news for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Correct.
Just like what he said in the parliament. That has been aired now for 3 weeks and continuing because a certain TV station talk show host has indicated that he is going to play back what the Speaker of the House said. Maybe he might have done it this morning, I don't know. Maybe I do it tomorrow, I don't know, but he's going to do it again. Because he himself, he say he don't vote. But his mantra is clear to me. 3 weeks now, and you would have played back what the Speaker in the House said. Why? But it's so important. But nobody talking about EMBD. Absolutely nobody. That same particular talk shows, they talk about EMBD. You play back certain things with respect to EMBD. He has not played one iota. But I'm talking about, let's have a poll. Who will you vote for? Who you think should be the leader of the PN? That's not important. Stuart Young or Foster Cummins. That's important. That is more important than Trinidad and Tobago. But we have so many more important things to be discussing in this country. You want a poll to determine and asking people who you believe to be the leader. And that is a non-issue. But you see people are making it an issue. But what they're not making an issue is the EMBD issue. And they believe because of the elections in America, we go forget the 6th of November, but I will not. And I'm certain other callers on this program, as well as you, will not forget. And we're going to be listening attentively to what is presented in the courts. But this is important to us to see where our justice system lies and where it goes, especially with respect to the individual who is going to be overseeing, that learned judge who will be overseeing this matter. And I am not going to sit here and say, well, okay, it's important to me. Because if they could do it then, and some of the people you spoke about, you don't even hear that, you haven't heard their names in years. I have certain people, when they heard you, when it was Sunday, were saying, who's that person, boy? Who's the man who got a house on Egypt village, boy? They don't know them. But they're important because they are one of the boys.
Yes.
And if they are one of the boys today, you think they'll be one of the boys tomorrow? Huh? You don't think? And this is what we have to guard against, people. You have to be cognizant of the fact that these people are not going to change their feathers. They're not going to change their minds. They're not going to change the way they think. Because they have one purpose and one purpose alone. To destroy the East-West corridor, to destroy the public sector, and to ensure that the only people that strive, their family and themselves. And we have to guard against that. Regardless of what people say, regardless of what they think, we have to stay focused on the mission. And do not be obstructed or distracted by what they attempt to say or do, or what the news presenters put in front of us. Because we all know that they are all aligned along the same road as the UNC. We know that we have this game that they want to play, so let's play and focused that at the end of the day, victory will be for those of us who are honest and want to see the better for Trinidad and Tobago. Dominica, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Seven 1763. UNC or coalition of parties come to destroy TNT. Indeed. Reynold Phillips says issues in the courts take too long to be completed in this country, and that must be addressed urgently. Yes, it will be difficult because of the makeup of members of the judiciary. So true. And then what that does, it creates a situation where people say, well, and they say this one thief and that one thief, and nobody here look up, and nobody here make a jail, and after all these years, nobody here break a jail, and all of that. And people need to be reminded the government doesn't arrest anybody, the government doesn't prosecute anybody. That is the responsibility of the police, the DPP, and the judiciary. So when I hear them say, oh, the PNM say, and Rowley say how much food thief money 2010 to 2015, and they accuse people, the People's Partnership of all these things, and nothing happened. Again, and every time they raise that issue, I always bring up Prison Gate. Prison Gate happened in 2014. It wasn't Dr. Rowley who spoke to that issue. Who spoke to that issue? That was that was brought up based on the judge, the master of the court who saw and realized there is something not right here. The DPP, without police investigation, said he was of the unflinching view that a crime was committed. But yet still 10 years later, they still investigated and they didn't reach a court yet, you know. Man, I get charged yet, no bracelets. 10 years later, how much longer we had to wait? Another 10? That man could have jumped on a plane and leave the country long time if they were so inclined. Eric.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir.
No, you know what I call a second time, but I got to understand that yesterday would have been the NUGFW internal election. And I'm proud to say that the former president James Lambert and his team has been voted out of as the Secretary General of the Workers Union. And I think it's about time the people know in this country what all these unions, these supporters and the members need to tell these leaders in these organizations they had enough. The next step is they have to get rid of Ansel Rouget. And then this backdoor president in what you name? PSA. Time to make room for new and fresh blood. Get rid of all here. I must say congratulations to the new executive in the NUGFW organization. Right? And Dominic, I know on the papers this morning, you know the Guardian and these papers used to like the blast that thing big and bold in front page. They say that Gopio calling for the withdrawal of Minister Young from the closing remarks in the Dakar site tomorrow night. Well, at the end of the day, knowing Minister Young, right? If I was him, I would not attend. I've been revealed because if only wanted to happen on the statement that he would have made and he would have apologized and only want to continue holding that as a way to call it. If I were Mr. Young, I just wouldn't attend. That is my take on it. Dr. Anderson.
Yes, sir. Hello, good morning.
Dominic!
Oh, Lord. Leave it there.
What's going on?
All is well. Let me hear you.
Look here, boy.
Uh-huh.
Tell Eric to tell Dr. Rowley we had enough too.
Oh, God.
I ain't call for that. Hey, Dominic. Yesterday, I taken a little Mako on 106.5. The morning program with Satish. And if you know Satish, he has asked people the hard questions. That's what I like him for. He did an interview with Jack Warner. He asked Jack Warner the hard questions, and Jack Warner was responding. He asked Jack Warner if he can open the lines to take some calls from the people. Dominic, if you hear how UNC supporters loving up Jack and telling Jack to come back in the party, they want him back. If the former Prime Minister did listen to that interview, he taken back Jack. I also heard Jack say, so are buying, so are selling. The Supreme Court of America said it was illegal for the US to charge the people from FIFA. So now the people from FIFA is suing the US government to get back their money. He said he was waiting to see the outcome of that. So Dominic, all you own, I will leave it here.
And I would remind you, leave it there, that the issues of FIFA with respect to certain charges and so on isn't the only allegations against Mr. Warner, I would just remind you of that. So if you come to play public defender for Mr. Warner, you ain't doing a good job. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Dominic?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, we hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dominic. Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Dominic. Dominic, you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. We hearing you.
Dominic?
Hello, we hearing you, caller. Go ahead.
All right. Dominic, what's your image? If Mr. Warner get back in politics and get a seat with the UNC, what's the image that he would portray to the world of Trinidad and Tobago? Just as Trump with 34 convictions and people watching Trump and the United States. That will not be good for our image. The UNC is very unpatriotic to Trinidad and Tobago. And Dominic, the people in Trinidad we have to be very careful not to go back to 2010 and 2015. The way how they had our country going. Every morning is some corrupt activity with some false papers, some contract where you suppose. It was bacchanal in that government under the UNC. So we cannot take a chance, Dominic. Dr. Rowley and the PNM has had put certain things in place, line up for the better Trinidad and Tobago, that we cannot, as Dr. Rowley says, voting have consequences, people. We have the Dragon Deal gas coming along by 2025. We're supposed to get something out of that, right? It had other things going on. Everything that he tried to do to get somebody to invest in the refinery and take the burden of money off of our hands, right? We will get interest coming in. They are running investors out of the country. You understand? You cannot put a other party like that who want to destroy Trinidad and Tobago. They do not have anything good for Trinidad and Tobago. So people only have to think, I know who's the better government to keep this, because if them coming in the IMF, them heading for, and when the IMF, you borrow somebody money, they tell you they want the money, and if they cannot get it, you have to get the money or do certain things they have to do. And this is just how the UNC will lead our country, Dominic. I guess that's all I have to say, bro. Have a good morning.
Thank you, sir. Someone is asking if Jenny has a podcast on YouTube. If so, if she could share the link. And Winston Bachelor is saying, is Trinidad better today than in 2015 to 2024, or have it gotten worse? I'm confused with that question. Is Trinidad better today than in 2015 to 2024? Well, that's the current period that the PNM has been in office, so you're being repetitive. But I understand what it is you're trying to ask. Are we better off today than 2010 to 2015? In fact, in his interview on Sunday night with CNC3, Mr. Warner made the claim that Kamala Persad-Bissessar was perhaps the best prime minister in this country ever had, because she delivered. Delivered what? Delivered what? You're asking this question about are we better off today? And it's the same thing they're asking in the US. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And I will answer your question, Winston. Yes, with the exception of maybe the crime, right? You're better off because the people who used to pay PAYE income tax between 2010 to 2015 and between 2016 to 2024 no longer pay income tax. Yes, they're better off. Winston, you probably never fell into the income tax bracket, so you wouldn't understand. But to the person who paying $7,500 less per year in income tax, yes, they're better off. To the first-time homeowner who between 2010 to 2015, if they were purchasing a home costing over $850,000, they would have had to pay significant amounts of stamp duty. Now that Keith Rowley and his government increased that minimum threshold to $2 million, it means they have to pay no stamp duty. So they're better off. The money that they would have paid in stamp duty between 2010 to 2015, Winston, they could now use that to probably add an additional room or two to the house. They could use that to furnish the house, paint the house. All right? The reduction in VAT from 15% to 12.5%. Since you all only figure that the only thing people pay taxes on is food. Let me let you know it's not only food. So to the person who went and bought a brand new car, since all they complain about the Forex, but yet still, as I told you a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine who recently got a promotion in the bank to management and was given a budget of $400,000 to purchase a vehicle as a manager. The vehicles of choice that he is looking at, he cannot get any of them because what they have, they don't have any in stock. And what they have coming in the next couple months is already booked. But we're suffering and things hard, right? So the amount of VAT that he would, that 2.5%, work out 2.5% of $400,000 and see the money that he is saving in VAT. That if he had purchased that same vehicle between 2010 to 2015 at a cost of $400,000, that 2.5% that he would have to pay in VAT, he could probably use that now to maybe pay his insurance for the year or do something else or upgrade the vehicle, add some other feature that doesn't come with the basic. So yes, people are better off today, sir. Again, we have an issue with the crime, which is a problem. But when it is we want to blame the government and don't look at your blasted self according to Fali. When your child bringing home money, working nowhere, draws no pay, but bringing money for you, and you have nothing to say. When you know your child hiding gun and weed and selling weed and all these different things, and you have nothing to say about it. Because that's your child. And you don't want your child to be imprisoned. So you have no problem sitting down home watching Young and Restless or whatever is the current soap opera while your child going out and distressing people who are working hard to make a living. And you say nothing but blame the government for that. It's the government's fault that you raised a monster. And don't tell me nothing about you make the child, but you don't make them mind. Because you have other parents in this country who from day one put on the law. And they are disciplinarians, as I always tell you all about my mother. She wasn't playing. Right? You're living under my roof, you abide by my rules. If you don't want to, hit the road. But she made sure you know what time it is. I sent you to school to learn, not to look for no boyfriend and girlfriend and all them kind of thing. Not having that. All of our children were raised well. And you have plenty parents like that who let their children who are not interested in being their children's friend. You go in the same fete with your child. You wear the same kind of clothes as your daughter. Right? You line me with your daughter and son friends. And you figure that make you hip. Yeah, that's what like. Yeah, we're doing timeout. Take away the PS5 and take away the phone and take away the tablet. Really? You had to be crazy. Something wrong with you. Good cocktail is what they need, but too many of you all don't want to give them the cocktail. But blame the government for that. Yeah? Well, I tried my best. So it's in the government hands now. Government was around when you were conceiving them? Yes, we are better off because the things that you all don't want to highlight and the media don't want to highlight. All of the communities in the country that are receiving better water supply under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, under Basdeo Pandey, 1995 to 2001, water for all by 2000. But you still had communities that when this administration came in, for years, no water, no pipeline. Marvin Gonzalez come and run pipeline for them today. They have water. Spend $9 million the other day for a booster station to help to give water to a community of 300 people who before, right, didn't have that facility. The UNC make a big issue. $9 million only spent for 300 people. But the 300 people appreciate the benefit that they get on water on a more regular basis. Are we better off? Yes, because the country doesn't have to be a laughing stock, regionally and otherwise, where every Monday morning the Prime Minister has to fire another minister for some wrongdoing or some wrong stand-up. We haven't had that in the last 9 years. But that was the order of the day between 2010 to 2015 with another one, and other countries in the region looking at us and laughing. What's really going on in Trinidad? What really going on? 20-something ministers that you had to fire. Every Monday morning is a cabinet reshuffle. Yes, we better off because we don't have to go through that. Yes, we don't have a minister giving away $34 million to one man. right? The man is your family friend, and you will take him to the Minister of Finance to discuss a program, and then the next thing, the man get a contract that went from 12 million to 34 million. Just so, no changes. The $12 million proposal and it's the same thing as the $34 million proposal, no change, but the price going up. And we got nothing for it. Yes, we better off because we don't have to be going through that. But you all will not give this government credit for the things that they're doing. Yes, we better off. You know why? Because our prospects when it comes to the energy sector is much better today than it was 2010 to 2015, when they thought that the solution was to give sweetheart concessions to the energy companies. Come and drill more and find more oil and find more gas in border. In border. And when it is that you have gas just on sitting, waiting to be brought up, to be monetized, yes, we better off. Where's that high poverty rate? Look, miss me with this nonsense about high poverty rate. Miss me with that nonsense. And high unemployment. There are jobs out there, right? If it is that people don't want to go and work, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? You all see these guys committing all these crimes and talking about it because they don't have work and they don't have work. Miss me with that nonsense. I still hearing them who say, but me ain't going to work no dog work now. I ain't going to work in no factories. You have the factories on them struggling to get workers. Struggling to get workers. They have shifts. They tell you they could run 3 shifts. But the what they call the graveyard shift, 10 p.m. to 6 o'clock, they can't get workers for that because now I want to go in my bed. They ain't working for that no dog work. They want to pay us small money. That money too small. But when it is the man who decide to do the dog work, when he get paid, when the fortnight come or when the month come, you sit down on the block. Oh dog, oh my lion, let your boy drink something now. You know many times I have to be going through that. There's a guy, every time he sees me, he gets happy, right? If it is I go to the grocery, not too far from me, and I would see him. But every time I see him, he have a moccasin in his hand, a royal in his hand. Oh the boss, let me hold something now. Biting hard, by stress thing hard. But you have a moccasin in your hand, how much you pay for that? You can get buy a little 20, let me get something to eat. But it have work. You don't want to work. You prefer to see people and ask the stress who going and doing the work and earning the money, right? But you come here to talk about high unemployment and high poverty. The government have things in place. They're telling you, look, we're giving $20,000 grants to start a business. If you too dumb and you don't have a business idea, you can't sit down and say, well, hey, the government, they offering, they're giving me a $20,000 grant and they're giving me business training too. What I could do, boy? What business I could go into? Go and talk to somebody, some friend, some neighbor, or somebody who might be able to give you some ideas, or like this idea, well, you will go and, well, like 2 of us go and we could apply and we could pool the money and start a business. While you're talking about high unemployment rate, the government looking to create business people. So you don't have to depend on anybody to tell you what you worth, nobody to write your paycheck. You could write your own paycheck, but all you're complaining high unemployment. And opportunities there. Plenty of opportunities. The government say, okay, you have the skill to be able to build a house. Instead of you only waiting for somebody to call you to add on a room or to change their roof or something. The government has a program where it is that they're giving contracts to small contractors, or not even contract people. You have the skill. You could get the people, fill out the form, and they could get between 2 to 10 houses to build. A profit of 100,000. They have the home and village improvement program, but they given $200,000. They increase it from $150,000 to $200,000. 600 families who live in shack. 10, 15 of them living in a 2-room something. Board up our board house with outhouse, latrine. The government is saying, look, 600 families to the Ministry of Housing. $200,000. Just get sweat equity. Tell your friends and family and them to come and to do the labor. So you could save on labor and that money could go into, we're giving you a 2-bedroom house, a starter home to start you off, and you could save your money and build add on as time goes by. But 2-bedroom, indoor plumbing, bathroom, toilet and bath inside, kitchen, they tiling your kitchen floor and all of that for you. But while the UNC want to offer you land for the landless, piece of land to go and squat and see if you could find some old galvanized and old wood, plywood somewhere and knock up something until you could do better. But you want to tell me about poverty. The government recognizes that, but you all will never come on this platform here and say kudos to the government for that. 600 families in the first instance, and eventually more will benefit. But you will never come here and talk about that and say, good job, Keith Rowley. No, only finding fault. Oh, the crime rate so high and the crime rate so high and the crime. Yes, the crime rate is high, but what want the government to do? When it is that you have criminals in the police service, whose fault is that? Criminals in the police service, renting out their uniform. You keep hearing anything about people, senior police officers running drug block and all kind of thing. The police locking up the police. You expect Dr. Rowley and Minister Hines to what? Put on their Gideon boots and the khaki suit and go and lock them up? Talk about that. How do we treat with that? When it is that people are afraid to go to the police station because they figure the police officer might be in cahoots with the criminals. Whose fault is that? Dr. Rowley and they came and met that. How do you fix that? Because more people, I have clients who are police officers and who tell me, they say, boy, I came in here with the expectation to make a difference, to help fight crime, but it's only, it don't make sense. Because when they come in here, they're telling you what the status quo is. And don't come inside here and play no maverick. Right? So, what you can do, you just come and you do your job. People, seniors trying to force them to do things that they don't want to do. How are you fixing that? You feel it easy just sort of weed out the corruption in the police service? But you all wouldn't think when it is that the UNC, who you all support, going to the courts to change the law, to give bail to people who commit murder when that was never the case. So these guys feeling now, well, I could kill somebody. And if the police catch me, so what? I don't want to go and sit down and remand for 10, 15 years in those terrible conditions anymore, because I could kill a man, the police could hold me next week, and by the week after, I back out and bail to kill again. Whose fault is that? When Israel Khan said, woe be unto the UNC, they will pay a heavy price because crime going to increase because they refuse to support the bail amendment bill and the anti-gang legislation. Israel Khan said that is the man that the UNC put up to be this country's highest office holder. He said that. Just go and Google it. The UNC will pay a heavy price, crime will increase, and we have seen it happen because they refuse to support legislation that could treat with that. Every time Jayanti Lakshmi, they'll come in the parliament to talking nonsense about this government figure that denying people bail and denying people bail is a way to deal with crime. Yes, because there are some of them who should not be outside. But when it is that you give them bail, witnesses are afraid to testify because they don't want to get killed. Because these people who should be behind bars out on the street could come and run up in the house, kick down the door midnight and shoot up everybody in the house. So what they're supposed to do? Whose fault is that? But you will never come here and blame the UNC for that nonsense and hold them accountable for the role that they have played in the crime situation being what it is in the country. You wouldn't come here and talk that. Hold them accountable, no, because you want them to come back. And their solution is not to stem the tide, You know what their solution is? Give everybody firearm users licenses. Right? Give the citizens the right to bear arms. But you're coming to tell me about high unemployment and poverty. If you can't put food on the table, where the hell you getting the money from to buy the gun? Your gun cheap? It's $500 for a gun? Or they're going to give you a gun grant? Like they're giving your baby grant $500 a month to make child. They give you a grant to buy a gun too? No, what tell us now? And just as Anthony Wilson is questioning, how the UN, where's the money going to come from? These are the things. You all will not interrogate the things that they offer in. Because when they tell you the solution is to bring stand your ground law. So we're giving you firearm user's license so you can go and get your gun easy. But we don't want you to get in trouble in case you shoot somebody. So we'll give you a stand your ground law so you can say you felt threatened. And that's why you shoot the person. So when your neighbor playing music too loud and you tell him about it and he drunk and he cuss you out, you run inside to get your gun and he holding a gun too. So let me see who's the quicker draw. Right? And he intoxicated, gun gone off and you dead. Where you going? I felt threatened. The man come across and he tell me to load on the music and me because I ain't taking money, went and get a gun, and when I see he pull a gun, I pull mine too and I shoot him. Okay, well, all right, that's self-defense. A family loses a loved one. Next. Right? You get on here. You decide, if I can't have you, nobody can have you. So you kill her and you kill yourself too. And when we keep hearing incidents like these taking place almost daily, what they will say? What they will say? But coming to talk nonsense about the high crime. And yes, crime is an issue. But all you all do is complain, but can't offer one single solution as to how to treat with it. And the government is saying, okay, all they're saying is poverty causing crime. Okay, people poor and they have money and whatnot. I saw a video. The irony of irony, you know, comedy. 2 men went to rob a Chinese, I don't know if it's a grocery store or a Chinese-owned establishment, right? About 1 minute after the 2 of them come in the business place and gone behind the counter robbing, 2 others come in to rob the same business place. So 2 set of bandits bounced up, 2 set of bandits. And then the second set end up running out because the first set now showing things like they want to pull out gun or whatever it is. I'm like, really? These Chinese people had to be real bad lucky. Real bad lucky. But blame the government for the state of crime. It's not only here. Jamaica struggling with crime too. Jamaica is headed to yet another year of over 1,000 murders for the year. You feel Andrew Holness like that? No. But he had to be every Monday, every time a shooting take place, limited state of emergency. Limited state of emergency. And you're curtailing the rights and freedoms of the people who live in, who are law-abiding citizens. And all they want not here. All they was complaining about the government oppressing. But the minute they come and decide to call a state of emergency, you're here earlier. Right? Rowdy's a failure. This one is a failure. Come on. They come back with this nonsense if the government cannot control crime. Well, hear what? If you have children and you can't control them, you tell us what to do. You tell us what to do now. Bring an outside man in your house to discipline your children if you can't do it. This is the foolishness that you all like to come with, what Rowdy say and Rowdy say, if the government cannot deal with crime. Why don't talk about it? It's the same Kamala Prasad said so when she was prime minister, when Dr. Rowley made that statement, but saying crime is not a government thing, it's everybody, right? And she commended Dr. Rowley for coming and sitting down with her to discuss the issue of crime and how the opposition then could have played a role to assist the government. She knew then that it wasn't just the government. They needed the government, they needed the opposition, civil society. You know what's the problem? Half all year, when we grew up going to church, half all year, stop go to church and you ain't sending, so your children don't know nothing about Sunday school, right? They figure there's a party in Tobago. They have no God in their life, right? And all they figure as soon as they're born and they think, the new thing, stick a phone in their hand or stick a tablet in their hand and put on I can't remember the new name from this new thing they have, right? Or Baby Shark. And just give them that. And they're preoccupied with that so they could leave you alone so you could go and do what it is that you want to do. Where the family values? When parents, Sunday morning, make sure you know you had to get up, do what it is that you had to do. You're going to church. Because all you ain't going to church. You ain't know God, your children don't know God, but you expect them to be what? What is the role of the church with respect to the crime fight? Why aren't we calling on the private sector to invest in programs to take the youth to provide opportunities for the youth and them to be able, so they wouldn't be available for the drug dealer and the gang leader? Why are they calling for that? All these companies that are declaring hundreds of millions of dollars in profits, why don't you tell them to invest in a program, some sporting program? You know what the government is doing? In Malabar, they have swimming courses for the young people during the August vacation that just went there. The MP, Lisa Morris-Julian, had programs running in the pool so that these young people, instead of they just sit on home and playing games on the PS5 or whatever it is they would have done, they could have come and learned to swim, and they have swim meets and all of that. They could compete. That is why the government have constructed swimming pools in all these communities and continues to do that. But no kudos for that. Poverty and it had no jobs and it had no jobs. Tell that to the 100 and something young persons who graduated from the Homestead program and who are now in the process of getting the lands and starting to work for themselves. Tell that to the young people who utilize in the Shade House program in Chagaramas, right? Who don't have access to land, but they have a space where they could go and grow their stuff and sell it and make some money. Where is the kudos for that? None. But when it comes to criticize and the government, and if the government can't deal with crime, and if the government can't deal with... Well, hear what? Send an email to Jamaica and tell Andrew Holness if the government can't deal with crime, he needs to go. Mia Motley complaining about the rise in crime in Barbados. Send an email to her and tell her the same thing. Send an email to Fali Augustine and tell him the same thing. And every other Caribbean country where we've seen an increase in crime because of the prevalence of guns coming into their borders. They don't have an issue with scanners on their port, but yet still the guns coming through the same legal ports of entry. But you wouldn't talk about the people who working on the port and who facilitating it, as the minister told us. As soon as you fix the scanner, next thing, another forklift run into it. Scanner down. And while it's down, right. And the UNC keep asking about that, so they want to know. So the government can say, well, yes, we have no scanners operating right now. So the criminals know, well, hey, yeah, thanks to the UNC, we know it. Otherwise, we wouldn't know. Thanks to the UNC. So keep asking the question so the government could say, give you a timeline. So you know, well, all right, if they say the scanners coming in 6 months, we have 6 months to do what we need to do. But don't blame the opposition. Is the PNM in power? The UNC have no power. The UNC don't have power? Really? Ah, boy. PF Qatar says once Winston Bachelor can't get it free, it's useless. That's all he cares about. That's what they like. Freeness. Kamala offering this free. Yeah, come and you'll get this. We will give you this and we will give you that and we will, yeah, you know, and you know what that does? Keeps people in a perpetual state of poverty. Don't bother to go and look for a proper job to mind your children. No. Wait until we come back in office and we will give you $500 a month to buy milk and Pampers, so you don't need to go and upskill yourself so that you could get a job that paying you well and you don't need to rely on the government. You don't worry yourself. We'll increase public assistance, or we will increase the food grant to keep you right where you are. So we'll increase it by $100 or $200 so that you could just eke out a living every month and you're good with that. So when you're passing anywhere and you're seeing signs on the business places, vacancy, workers wanted, help wanted, you could buy. I don't need that. I don't need to go and look for no work because I get my food card every month and that buying food. And then I just get a little public assistance. So I good with that. I work in CPEP. So I could collect a little $2,000 for the month or whatever, and I'll make do with that plus the food card. Yeah, we good to go. And my husband work in CPEP too. So we good. We good. We don't need to go and take no grant that the government offering. East Port of Spain, same thing. $3 million set aside for those people who selling on the street. Come, we want to help you to establish your business. We're giving you free space in New City Mall, reduce rents in New City Mall, in Eastside Plaza. Come, we're giving you the money and the training to set up your business, to grow your business, so you could give your children a better standard of living. But Winston wouldn't come here and talk about that. Instead, they will criticize. And what they tell you when they see that in the newspapers, yeah, they're just doing that. That's to buy votes. Yeah, that's money to fund the that's for the gunman and them. That's for the gangs and them. That's money for them to buy drugs. This is the stupidity. Rather than you all encourage people to take advantage. As everything the government do to help, you all always come with some ulterior thing. It's to buy votes. That's for PNM supporters. Yeah, that's for the gunman and them. Ridiculous. So our women should go to prostitution to get milk. What nonsense you talking about prostitution? Winston Bachelor, are you listening to me? Are you listening? Some of these women have skills, they could do something, right? Tell them form a cooperative, 5, 6 of them come together and they go and they apply for the grants each and start a business. Instead of talking nonsense about going and prostituting themselves to get milk. How they get the baby? How the baby come about? Where the child father? Was it immaculate conception? An angel appeared to them and say, yes, you are going to give birth. The Lord has chosen you to give birth, right? Or is it that is asexual? These women could just wake up one morning, they feel a pain in their stomach and then they decide to go and do a pregnancy test and they're pregnant. That's how it has happened. This is the nonsense that you all come in with about prostituting themselves. Where is the man who put the child inside them? Where is he? You know what? Because he with this one and he with that one and 5 and 6 other ones. And these women, some of them, they know what he's about, but you know, these are shooter. Yeah. The man working nowhere. He has no prospects, but you have no problem making 2 and 3 children for him. Instead of you telling these young women, have respect for yourself. Have respect for yourself. But all you're asking where the child father, he don't have a role to play. His role is just to come and knock her up, she get pregnant, and then he move on. And leave her as a single parent. She give birth to the child now, and she can't afford to mind the child. She has nobody to look after the child when she go to work. So even if it is that she wants to go and get a job, she can't because she has nobody to look after the child. Hold these men responsible. There's nothing about prostitution. When Dr. Rowley said, choose your men wisely, all you rake him over the coals for saying that. But it makes sense. Choose somebody who, if it is that you get pregnant, Say, right, we settling down. Let me stand up as a man and go and get a proper job to raise my child so I could be a good example. I don't want my child to see me as being a womanizer all over the place, and he have brothers and sisters that he don't know about until one day a bullet pick up with me, and when funeral come, 5 and 6 different women coming with child in tow, and then everybody realized, but all that children he had, but he was a gallus. This is the stupidness that's all encouraging. Dotishness, teach your daughters. When it is the man come, make sure she have boyfriend. You want to meet the man. What is his intentions for your daughter? And if he has no prospects, hit the road, Jack. Not my child. You ain't coming here to knock up my child for me to raise no grandchild. Go so. But no. Yeah, well, is that she choice? She's a big woman. Why God? Why can't tell she what to do? Nonsense. Look, folks, let me go and do my work, eh? Because if I go to continue to read this man's ridiculous comments, I will end up staying here till the whole day. And I have things to do. Yeah, I have money to go and make. Right, Winston? I'm not suffering. Right? I'm not struggling. I do very well. I have no complaints. Roxanne, tell him I block him. Dr. DCA says too many full-grown idiots abound. Hello, Winston. Yeah, tell him you go and mind the children, Winston. You go and do it. Nonsense out here. So many things, the opportunities that have. So they encouraging these young people to stay in school, get your passes. Too many of you all parents. I said, I'm just going to waste our time, yes? Waste our time. You're learning nothing. Every term they come in, and there's a set of only D and F. And what you doing to fix the problem? Yeah? You going to school? I know he's smoking as a weed. What are you doing? What you doing to fix it? Nothing. Because you're telling yourself, well, he's 16 now, so it's 2 more years. He's 17 now, 1 more year. And then he's 18 and he's on his own. So legally, I'm not responsible for him. But blame Rowley. Yeah. Government have Milat for them. Janti Lakshmi Diyal say, no, that is not the answer, because all those programs do is just make them come out more is violence she used, boy? Or it makes them, forget the term that she uses, but rather than encourage. But the other day, 50-something% of them came out with 5 O levels and more. Did she praise them? Did she come in the parliament and applaud them? How she could do that when she tell her that program is a waste of time? She said that. They will never applaud that. I'll see Eric call. America giving you 2 minutes. Make it quick. So, yes, sir. Hold on. Okay, I don't know what happened there. We gotta call me back, Eric. Kurtshaw says, Winston, by making the biggest fool of yourself, give up. Defending the UNC has turned you into a complete donkey. Oh my gosh, Dada, you're brutal. You're brutal, Dada. Dada say, Winston. All I had to go on Facebook to read Dada comment. I can't read it. Oh, Lord. Patriot asking if my middle name is Job. Sometimes you just have to respond to these people, Patriot. Yeah, I don't know. They did not come in with sense. It's like they don't think before they come and talk this gubar. Eric, I'll give you 2 minutes. Go ahead. Hello? Yes, sir.
Yeah. I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate Miss Marilyn Gordon on receiving a doctorate from the University of Trinidad and Tobago yesterday. So on behalf of debunking Miss Marilyn Gordon, and let me tell you thing, and all the listeners, viewers of this program, congratulations on your doctorate, Miss Marilyn Gordon. Right, I'm next to Dr. Wilson. Yeah.
Right. So it's not Miss Marilyn Gordon, it's Dr. Marilyn Gordon. All right? Dr. Marilyn Gordon. Congratulations to you, ma'am. Well deserved. And you're an exemplar. And that we need more like you, Miss Gordon. We need more like you. Right? Maybe one of these days I'll try to see if I could link you here so you could share with us the values that you grew up with. Right? That has you where you are today. the exemplar that you are, as opposed to the upholders of wrongdoing, those who trying to make excuses for being failures, right? Failures as parents, failures as citizens, but want to blame everybody and blame the government that would not look inward and see what they're doing. Because you know the next door neighbor, you know the children ain't doing good, neighbor probably struggling. You could help, you know, but I know my business. I know my business. But blame the government. Yeah, that's what the government for. She could go and get a grant for the government and the government and the government, when you could help. Folks, enjoy your day. Thank you all for joining me. I've gone over time. Always a pleasure to have a chat with you. And God's willing, we will chat again on Thursdays. And Tuesday being a holiday, I think we will do 11 o'clock on Thursday, so I can get up late. Angie Sherry says, please stop trying to reach the unreachable. Winston is a hopeless case. I think I'll have to agree with you there, Angie. So Kutcher says, Winston, join one of the programs, boy, and do something positive with your life. Don't let your pride and UNC handlers keep you thirsty in the abundance of water. So true. So true. The water right there, they want the government to come and get them a cup. And they can't bend down a cup their hands and drink, you know. Yeah, but all the water here, you bring water, well, where the cup, where the glass to drink it? Where the government get them a glass. But I find I seeing this glass looking so like it washed properly. It has stains on it. I can't use that. You get them as, all right, look, a styrofoam cup. Yeah, but this is not environmentally friendly. I can't use that. Yeah, nothing else. What else you want? That's how they are, you know. You're giving it to them. Yeah, you get them food. You know, I don't really use metal spoons. You don't have a plastic. But then they have an excuse for everything. Everything. Even if the government were to come and say, all right, everybody, you see like what they'll praise the Guyanese government, given everybody, they change it up now from $200,000 per household to $100,000 for every person over the age of 18, right? Because when they realize family issues, if you have a household with about 5-6 people, how are they going to share this $200,000? They said in some households, you have people not talking to each other, so that might be a problem. So you know what? To avoid the conflict, we change it. $100,000 for each person over the age of 18. And then here in Trinidad, they say, yeah, you see, that is governance. That is how you're supposed to run a country. But I bet you if Dr. Rowley were to come and do the same thing now and say, all right, we're giving everybody over the age of 18, $10,000, you hear them. They're looking to buy vote. Why they come in and do that now? Why they couldn't do that all the time? It's votes they're looking for. But they will praise you finally. Ghana's election is next year too. Coming up and I think it's before ours is due. Right? But he's not trying to buy votes. No, that is what you call good governance. That is the kind of president you need, kind of leader you need. But in Trinidad, if we do it here, they're trying to buy votes. And that, yeah, can't please all you. Folks, we'll chat on Tuesday. God's willing. Right? Stay safe. Enjoy it. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Make it productive, as I always say. I out.